Be nice.
All right, everyone, we are back. Mets Weekly is here. We are in full attendance. We are sorry for the long break, but we are back. It's going to be a rotating host each week. I get the honors of doing the first week. So it's been a while. We have a lot to catch up on. But to not bore you, we will stay with the more recent games. So the Mets just wrapped up their 4-game series against the Braves, had some doubleheaders in there. But before we get into all that, we're going to let everybody introduce themselves. So first, we will start with Islanders in 7, a.k.a. Andrew Acevedo.
What's going on, guys? Andrew Acevedo here. Channel pretty much. I've uploaded twice in a week after going missing, kind of how Mets Weeklies went. Uploaded a Brett Beatty video, which I think we'll be discussing, and also just kind of news, rumors. Closer to the trade deadline, some more content will come out. So maybe some trade rumors on actual trades the Mets decide to make. And thank you again for always inviting me, guys.
All right. Mets Talk with Hayden / Blue Jays Talk with Hayden.
Nah, don't worry. It's not Blue Jays Talk with Hayden today. But what's going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden. You heard the name. I'm sure most of you guys know me by now, probably from the Discord as the person who has the ton of Kate Upton pictures and gets really triggered and has the rage videos. So that is me for sure. Yeah, please check me out. Mets Talk with Hayden. Pretty basic, great Mets content, live streams, a ton of great rages you guys will enjoy. So yeah, check me out. Mets Talk with Hayden.
All right. Elias, Big Apple baseball banter. What is up?
What's going on, guys? I'm sick as shit right now, so no face cam today. But Big Apple Baseball Banter is the name of the channel. Live call-in show every Wednesday, around 6 usually. So yeah, tune into my live, call-in show. Call in. Love talking with you guys, Mets, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, check me out. Big Apple Baseball Banter.
Tony Metro.
What's up, you guys? Tony Metro. I've taken a little bit of a hiatus from my channel and from Mets Weekly. I've been really busy lately, but you guys can check out my channel. I'll talk all things Mets and Major League Baseball. Tony Metro, all one word. Check it out.
And Mets fan on YouTube.
All right. Well, I'm Mets fan. I make videos about baseball, analytics, metrics, all that advanced stuff, all those crazy numbers that you see all around my Twitter. I've also been streaming a lot lately on my YouTube channel. I've been doing some positional power rankings with one of my guys, Hayward Stan, another fellow stat nerd. But I recently dropped a video on Brandon Nemo and how he's been kind of emulating one of the greatest hitters in baseball history. It's actually pretty interesting. So if you want to check that out, by all means, go ahead. I'm happy to be talking Mets baseball with you guys again. After, a much needed break, I think, for everybody. But we are back. Happy to be here, LFGM.
That's right. We are back. We are happy to be here. So let's get right into it. Let's not waste any time. So what are our main takeaways from the Nationals / Braves series? Because, last week, after the Mets win the series from the Padres, win the series from the Cubs, you're feeling pretty good. You're like, all right, Mets are beating some good teams. Then all of a sudden, against this weekend series, after that Thursday game against Kyle Hendricks, the offense had completely been shut down. So, Tony, we have not heard from you in a while. So what have been your takeaways from this past week?
Yeah, well, not to go back too far, but the Mets, the replaced Mets as they were dubbed, really overachieved and I think played above expectations. We were hoping for 500 ball at best, and they far exceeded that. So it was kind of natural that, finally the norm would return to the mean. So it's nice that they had that little run and they've kind of had a little speed bump here. We've had a few more pitching injuries between Gazelman, Lucchesi, and Familia, so that really hurt. Jake, obviously, a question mark. But overall, the Mets split 4 with the Braves. The one series with the Nationals, we lost 3 out of 4. I think it's the first series the Mets have lost since May 23rd. So you know what? I'm not freaking out at all. I think things are going really well. And, finally we're starting to get the position players back. McNeil and Conforto have come back already, and Brandon Nemo now expected to come off the DL before this upcoming road trip. So, you know what? I think things are going really well. I'm happy.
All right. I like to hear that. Big Apple Baseball Banter, what have been your takeaways?
With the National Series, I hate Kyle Schwarber with a passion. I think we can all take that away because, my God, he was balling. But yeah, not much to add. We've been getting hurt, hit like crazy with the injuries. There were a couple games where the offense did absolutely nothing. We got like 2 hit, with one of the hits being a pitcher who's not even a major league pitcher. Coincidentally, I saw him hit a home run in the AAA game. So shout out to Jared Eichoff. But Yeah, I mean, it's more of the same. Like, we're winning games somehow. You know, the pitching's been dominant. The offense has been pretty awful. We hit last night, though, and I'm hoping that, continues to be the trend. But, yeah, overall thoughts, no offense, great pitching, and fuck Kyle Schwarber.
Right. Okay. Braves talk with Hayden. What are your thoughts on the past couple series?
Yeah. Overall, I have been very surprised with this New York Mets team, the bench mob, whatever you want to call them. As you guys stated, I mean, if you were to tell me right now that, our starting players would be Kevin Pillar, Jonathan Lindor, Mason Williams, and Hill, I'd say, yeah, we're probably last in the division. No, but these guys were everyday players. Some of these guys, they filled in the spots, they filled in the cracks, they did everything they needed to do. They did much more than what we expected. We all expected this team to go, corrupted, I guess. But overall, they did what they needed to do. The pitching has been unbelievable. The fact that Yenzi, guys like, I don't want to get into it too much, but guys like Yenzi Diaz and Jared Eichoff are exceeding in their jobs. They're doing what they need to do. I've been super, super pleased with this Mets team these last couple of days, and now we are getting healthy. And this just shows so much more on what this team is going to look like, especially coming towards, the September call-ups. Now we have more of a generalization on, what this team could look like. So I think it's great. The bench mob, Donnie Stevenson or whatever his name has kind of been letting us down these last couple of days. But last night he was at Citi Field. He had the front row seat.
Andrew, what are your takeaways? I know you had a bit of a rant. You were not happy with the way the offense was playing, and then boom, they woke up. So how are you feeling now?
Well, of course, when you get your regulars back, the offense finally decides to show up. But again, I think like Tony said, the clock struck midnight for the replacements. Where like Pilar was balling, you had guys like Guillorme, who was still getting on base at a great clip. But some of those backup guys started to finally go back to what they really are. And now you got McNeil back then, Conforto back this past series. Taijuan Walker, going back to the National Series, Taijuan Walker had his first kind of bad start, giving up 4 runs in 6 innings. And again, Kyle Schwarber just turning back the clock to 2014 when they won the World Series, won World Series MVP. Or no, that was Schwarber. That was Zobers. Or whatever.
They won in 2016.
2016, sorry.
Yep.
So, again, the pitching injuries now, Gazelman's hurt and Familia's hurt. Nito goes down. So, we're still thin depth-wise, and hopefully, Sandy and Zach can bring in some reinforcements pretty soon. But, again, right now for those 2 series, taking a split with Atlanta, I don't like losing the series to Washington, but I do feel pretty well, especially getting, Conforto, McNeil, and hopefully Nemo back this weekend.
Mets fan, what have been your takeaways?
I mean, it kind of has been said already. It just showed the team was hurting. The bench mob was not going to hold it down forever. But the fact that we have some of our guys back, things are looking up. It's fine. No need to panic. It's a long season. There's just going to be stretches that where we just don't have it. It happens. It's a 162 game season. I think a lot of people are missing the fact that it's not a 60 game season like last year. And it's 106. Yeah, exactly. It would be over already. So it's 162 games. You have stretches where you're on and off, but we'll get it going once we get our full main guys back. I know Nemo is supposed to be back.
Monday.
Yep. So hopefully we can get that main core back and we'll get right off to it. And it's not like this division is threatening any of us behind us. Like I said, like one of the last streams that we did like a month ago, a lot of these like the other teams like in this division kind of suck. I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty bad, and it's held up since that. So there's nothing to worry about right now.
Yeah, the Mets are 4 games up, and all these other teams' division, they're under 500. So I think that if we really could gain some more ground, the Phillies right now, they're up 5 on them. So you win the series, at least take 3 out of 4. All of a sudden, you have an 8-game lead. I mean, that's really nice to see. Do the Nationals, are they going to catch up? I mean, I don't think so. I just think the Nationals are riding a bit of a hot streak, but I just don't trust them long term. So, Mets fan, we'll go back to you. Tell me your takeaways about young Tylor Mcgill and veteran Jared Eichoff.
All right, well, I'll start with Eichoff because I'm pretty sure he pitched first, right? Eichoff is someone I don't prefer as a starter, but it is what it is for now because we are kind of hurting in that department. We're hurting in a lot of departments right now. I mean, injuries have been the entire theme of this season. Mcgill was a prospect that I was looking forward to seeing in spring training, but I'm pretty sure he only got like 2 appearances. I'm glad to see that the guy got a chance, and he has the potential to be a key part to this team, and we'll obviously talk about that later. But it also looks like Tyler McGill has had like a similar development path to Degrom. I actually researched this last night. Injuries early, developing velocity, a slider that can do a lot of damage. And he also made his debut at the same age and the same date, 25 years, 255 days old. So he made his debut yesterday. Take that as you will. I'm not saying he's Degrom. No one is. But he could be he could be something else. I'm excited to see what he does next. He's got some good stuff.
Andrew, what did you think about the two starting pitchers that had to fill in and, really just come out of nowhere? The Mets, we need somebody to start. So Eichoff, you're in. Miguel, you're in. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, McGill more important. I think McGill is going to be more important than Eichoff, just like I'm a Mets fan. So Eichoff will probably just spot start until we get hopefully Strowman back, and hopefully next time Stroh's back. But McGill looked good. Besides the one mistake he threw to Ender Inciarte, he looked pretty good. Got a little rough jam first inning. First inning in the big leagues, walked a couple guys, got out of it. He pitched well. The fastball, curveball, slider looked good. Could he potentially? I think DeMayo said he's better probably as a bullpen guy. So again, maybe once we're fully healthy, he could be kind of the next Lugo, kind of that multi-inning guy who could have some good stuff. Could he be? Oh God. That would have Perez hate. But again, he's looked good. Eichoff is Eichoff. He's gonna get maybe a revenge game against Philly this weekend. Hopefully he can make it 2 in a row. But I don't expect much out of him besides just being, spot starter before we get healthy.
Let's talk with Hayden. What did you think about the two new guys in the rotation?
Yeah. I was only able to see the Eichoff appearance because at the other game I was at a Marlins game. But yeah, both of these guys pitched pretty well. I think the fact is that both of these guys I keep getting confused between both of them. Tyler Mcgill, is that how you pronounce his name?
Tyler Mcgill.
Yeah, he went quite acceptably last night. He went, I believe, 4 innings, approaching 5. He didn't really do any damage until the inning he was taken out. He was very acceptable. Unfortunate that the MLB umpires had to do the whole search during his round of applause.
That was horrible.
I mean, I didn't see both of these guys put a whole lot yesterday. I was at a Marlins game and then a minor league game yesterday. But what I've seen in the highlights of them, they look like they could definitely have some potential with this team. Tyler Mcgill, I guess, obviously he's younger. He's a prospect, so I guess we have more rather than a former Philadelphia Phillies veteran. But yeah, I mean, the question is, will Tyler Mcgill hold down this 5th spot until Carrasco comes back? That's a possibility. And I know yesterday I was kind of saying facts like, we haven't had a rookie pitcher since David Peterson, and then prior to that, Steven Matz get a win in their first game. So that was kind of something I found pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be time with this, but I'm pretty confident that both of these guys can hold down the fort.
I believe Corey Oswald got the win, so I think we still are waiting for that next rookie starter. I mean, wins are just the dumbest stat in the world because they just give it to whoever. Guy could blow a game and still gets the win. So I mean,
this Chapman, he got the win.
Corey Oswald experience.
Yeah, exactly. So just forget about that. Tony, what would you think?
I kind of harken back to 2015, and I'm almost positive Dylan G was a part of that rotation.
Him and John H.
He's a part of that rotation in the beginning of the season, and you're going to need contributions from those kinds of guys. Now, when that season began, he was penciled in as probably our 4th starter because we didn't expect Syndergaard to, make his debut or Degrom to take the strides that he took, or Steven Matz to even debut. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is you're going to have to get contributions from these, really quadruple A type of guys, and that's who Jared Eichoff is. He pitched well, scared me a little bit. Obviously with that first inning that he miraculously escaped. So my expectations are not very high for him. Hopefully he gives us a couple of solid spot starts over the next couple months while we get healthy. But, who else is there really that we could rely on? I know one name is Nick Tropiano, who's been, sitting in our minor league system, doesn't have a whole lot of big league success. I'm not sure. Is Stephen Tarpley even still on the roster, or was he DFA'd already? I think he might be gone off the team now. at this point.
I wish he was DFA'd.
I believe he was just the 27th man, so I don't think he's been officially called up or sent down. So you can kind of do whatever you want with the 27th man.
Yeah. So it tells you all you need to know about, how deep we've already had to go into our pitching depth. So if Eichoff could just go out there every couple of days when we need a spot start, give us 4 to 5 innings, even if he gives up 3 runs, you got to take that, and you can't have too high of expectations. As for Tyler McGill, really happy with how he looked. I thought he looked pretty sharp, and seems like he has some confidence in him, even as a rookie, taking on a very strong Braves lineup. So I'm happy about that, but kind of similar to Eichoff, I'm not expecting a whole ton out of him. But I did like what I saw out of his arm and out of his just demeanor and confidence.
And Big Apple baseball banter.
Yeah, so with the Eichoff game, I unfortunately was at a minor league game that night, but I was able to watch the highlights, all sorts of stuff like that. He is what he is. He's a bubble player, a 4A player. He'll make you a start every now and then. You don't know really what you're gonna get. The other guy, what's his name? Tyler McGill. I liked what I saw from him. He gave up that 1 home run to Inciarte, which sucks because he always robs our home runs and hits home runs against us. But I like McGill though. I like him more than Yamamoto as kind of that more long-term younger guy. I know that's crazy because I don't know why you guys think Yamamoto.
Already? 16 minutes in?
Oh, I think Jabs. That's he's like my guy.
You're bashing an elite reliever in the chat right now.
No, I'm bashing his 2019 in the chat right now.
Already 16 minutes in? Jeez.
Quick. We weren't even talking about Yamamoto.
Should we get to McCann?
No. We're on the topic of pitching. Let's stay on top.
I was just trying to say I like him a little more as that kind of long-term young guy who could potentially be in the rotation in a few years. Right now, he's kind of more of a bubble guy. I wouldn't give him, come September, he's not going to be one of the starters in rotation, but maybe he can be in the bullpen. Maybe be a long guy. I hope, I think Carrasco will be back eventually. I think Syndergaard might pitch a little bit in September. Obviously, Lucchese's done for the year, which I'm guessing that's a topic we'll get to soon. But, I like Mcgill. Eichoff, hopefully you don't have to see him too much. That is my dude, though, because I saw him in AAA where he hit a home run. But yeah, you take what you can get from them. I don't expect a ton from them, especially Eichoff. We know what he's been for his whole career. He's below average pitcher, but you take what you can get.
All right, so before we get into the next topic, everybody watch stream right now. Please take a moment, leave a like. It will help get more people into the stream to see that we have returned and we're talking about good stuff. So let's get to the good stuff. Jacob Degrom was back on the mound after yet another injury scare, and he got through it fully healthy and is scheduled to make his next start. Didn't have to come out early, didn't have to have a chat with Jeremy Hefner, didn't have to go into the clubhouse. So Big Apple Baseball Banter, what was your takeaway from the most recent Jacob Cy Young outing?
I mean, it's expected for him to basically throw a 2-hitter every night with 0 earned runs. We just expect that. What pisses me off, though, is that most of these injuries come from him swinging the bat. I'm the most in favor of having a DH, which I think will come eventually. Do I love seeing, Jake driving RBIs at the plate, the stat that he has more RBIs than, earned runs given up. That's awesome, obviously, but you want the guy to pitch. That's his priority. So, he's not human. He's from Mars. He's from a different planet or something. It's not fair. You see Patrick Wisdom in the Cubs said it's like going into a test at school knowing you're going to fail and just, fingers crossed. I mean, it's unfair. I think he might be – I have him at third best player in baseball. I think I might bump him up to number 2. He's got to stay healthy, but most of those injuries are coming from swinging the bat. So it's not elbow issues and, worst case scenario, stuff like that.
Hayden, what did you think about DeGrom's outing?
Yeah, listen, I mean, Jacob Degrom, he's a legend. He's a GOAT. You could put him out there with one leg and one arm, and I guarantee you he'd still get the job done. What we've been seeing of Degrom is just pure elite. He is the best pitcher in baseball, arguably one of the best pitchers of all time. Definitely once he finishes his career, you can make an argument. One of the best pitchers I've seen in my lifetime, and I'm 19 years old. I think out of Jacob Degrom, it comes out of two things to take into consideration. Obviously, his age. He just turned 33, which isn't really so much of the concern with Degrom. I think it more comes to his increase in velocity. We saw with Ronald Acuna Jr., first pitch, 101, 102, 100, and that's something that he's putting more pressure on his elbow. He's putting more change onto his elbow. So that's going to be something that he's going to have to just try to manage with. And it comes to the point is where Degrom is just so elite that he could go 6-7 innings throwing this. And even when he's tired, he has stuff in his arsenal. He has all these tools where he could throw a 92-mile-per-hour slider with a nice bite to it to try to get the job done, where he's not using so much on his elbow or something. So like Aaliyah said, it's multiple injuries. I believe there's a lat, there was the elbow, and what was the third thing?
The shoulder.
The shoulder, right. I should have remembered that I said that. And obviously, some of it's coming from the bat, some of it's coming from pitching due to the increase in velocity. I will say Jacob Degrom, it's amazing how he's able to tell his body. Typically maybe any ordinary pitcher who's, 70, 60 pitches in, he may get a little tickle in his hamstring, or he may get a little tickle in his elbow or something. He'll just say, I need to get this finished. Where Degrom, like I said, he has the tools, he has the equipment to go out there and try to finish it, but not try to hurt himself more. And obviously, we know he knows his body, so he's very, he communicated with McCann, Hefner, Rojas, the training staff, and it's just something that Degrom can get done. But pretty much in terms of the game with Degrom, the dude's a Cy Young. I mean, what else can you really not like about him? I would love to give this dude a World Series ring while he's 33 and in his prime, then 39 and 3 ERA, 4 ERA.
I can't even imagine DeGrom having ERA above 2. I mean, that's just the kind of level he's on right now. The thing about it is he's having this historic season, and he has this scoreless inning streak that's been going on for really a long time because he's got to pitch 3 innings, 2 innings here and there, but the ERA just keeps going lower and lower and lower, really having an all-time great season. Even analytic-wise, ERA plus, greatest ERA plus ever. So, I mean, Andrew, what have you thought about regular ERA plus, just the overall greatness?
I was one of the guys, if we weren't in a situation that we have 3 doubleheaders in the past 2 weeks, he should have been on the IL and just give him the 10 days off. They didn't do that because they need the pitching. And he goes out and gives you 5 shutout innings and shuts me up. It's like, oh, no, I don't need to go on the IL. I'm still, even with, the soreness, I can still throw 102 and be fine. Again, for me, I've always said, I think I said it before we took the break, I need Jake in October. I could care less about having Jake in June. I need him in October if we're going to get there. He's pitched well. He's going to make the next start on Saturday against the Phillies. Just stay. I'm tired of these little ticky-tack injuries. And if they keep piling up, just give him the 2 weeks off and bubble wrap him and do not let anybody touch him. Don't look at him. Just put him away because we need him down the stretch. But obviously, all the pitcher injuries, he's going to have to go out there. Is it a risk to put him out there? I mean, he knows his body better than anybody. But is it still a risk to put him out there and who knows, 101 or 102 and there goes his shoulder? So that still scares me. I still, obviously enjoy watching him. But those injuries could pile up and it could be one fastball and then he's done for the year. So obviously knocking on wood, that doesn't happen. But Jake knows his body better than anybody. So if he says he's ready to go, let him go. But I would have been a little more cautious with him because, again, we want to win the World Series. We're going to need him pitching game 1 or game 7. So,
Tony, what have your takeaways been from Jacob Degrom? And not so much just the past start, but this entire season in general, being on this historic trajectory.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there left to be said about Jake Degrom? I mean, he is putting up historic numbers and blowing out the numbers of any other pitcher in the history of baseball. SNY had a statistic up the other day, and I guess his ERA plus is 650 right now.
He's in the 700s.
Yeah, and
so it's and the next best is in the 200s. So he's it's not kind of better. It's way better than anything we've ever seen.
Right. It's 3 times better than even some of the greatest seasons. Now, it's obviously not a full season yet. He's only pitched about, 75 innings or so. So it probably won't continue this way. If it does, oh, my God. But that's the crazy thing about it. It's unbelievable what he's doing. He's out pitching the likes of Pedro Martinez in his prime, Bob Gibson, Randy Johnson during his incredible 3-4 year stretch from 98 to 2003. It really is just there's nothing left to be said. I mean, he is on pace to truly cement himself as one of the greatest pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball.
Now, Mets fan, I want to ask you from an analytical perspective. When you look at Jacob Degrom's Baseball Savant page, he's in the 100th percentile in almost every single category. And then you look at Sierra and DRs and all his other stuff, he's first. So explain to us, what is Degrom doing that is making him translate so well analytically? Because we could talk about, he's up to the greatest ERA ever. Okay, that's a basic stat. But if you look at it even further, it says that, no, this is not just luck. Like, he is actually that good. So tell us how he's doing that.
Well, I mean, can I say the dead balls are helping him? Maybe. But when you have a pitcher like Jacob Degrom, who's at that caliber, he's going to be even better when he has that advantage. I mean, that was what basically happened. And that, obviously, Manfred's a little bit confused by that because thinking the sticky substance is the whole thing. But that's another story. Degrom he just defies the laws of aging. That's just basically what he does. It's just his velocity has gone up. And it's not just like he throws hard. He's also got like that insane movement. He has all of these weapons in his arsenal that some people don't even realize. He has a sinker that he hasn't used in 2 years.
He even thrown a curveball this year.
He's thrown his curveball 3 times this year or something. I mean, he's just insane. And I actually can't wait to see when he ages and he starts using the curveball, because I'm a huge sucker for the curveball. I love the curveball. But it's just he's just historically insane. I don't even know how to describe it anymore. You just run out of things to say about him at this point.
What do you mean when he ages? He's going to throw like 110 when he's like 39.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's the pace he's going on. But like there was Steve Gells was covering something on SNY about a few months ago where he's like, when that velocity is going to start to go, because it's not like he's going to be, I mean, I'm sure if there's one guy to do it, it's going to be Jacob Degrom. But obviously, the velocity will eventually go down. It's human. But he'll start incorporating that curveball, and he'll start with that movement. I'm not trying to say like Zach Greinke decline in velocity, but I'm saying like just and his curveball apparently is one of the best. He just doesn't use it. He says, I just don't even need to use it right now. And sometimes he just pulls it out of his ass sometimes, and you're like, okay, where the hell did this come from? And it's still elite. It's just perfect right down the middle. And it's crazy.
He throw a mean knuckleball.
I bet he can throw the curve, because he has a change up and a curve. So
I like to throw anything.
He can what can he do? I mean, it really comes down to that. Like Shohei Ohtani, who? Like, I mean, what can't this guy do?
Well, yeah, what can he do? I mean, it's crazy how you're seeing like, okay, 2021, this guy's even better. How? Like, how is he even better? You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's just crazy to think about it. The fact that he's 33 right now, and some guys in 33 are like the last 2 years of their prime. This guy's just getting started at this point, at the pace he's going. It's just insane. He's incredible.
So let's go to the next starting pitcher who is also having a very good year, Marcus Showman. But not only just Strowman, he did exit his last start early in the second inning. A little bit of some hip soreness. Everything came out clean. Showman says he's okay. They have not fully said if he'll make his next start. We believe he will. But the other about Marcus Showman, not only the injury, not only the season he's having, but the offseason. Marcus Showman is a expiring free agent. With all the injuries that the Mets have had and what you've just seen in general this year, do you think Marcus Strowman deserves a contract extension at the end of this year? So let's kick it off with Andrew.
You could totally do it, and you could bring the whole rotation back next year if Syndergaard would takes the qualifying offer, which I think he would, even if he doesn't pitch. I think he's not going to pitch much. So guaranteeing him about $19 million next year, whatever the qualifying offer this year is going to be, and just having a one-year deal and letting him have a full offseason to rehab, I think he'll take it. And then getting Strowman back, and you're going to think he's going to get more than Wheeler did at 5 years at 120. So you know he's going to get more than that. So are you willing to pay that for Strowman? And I know we don't want to say it, but Jake could be up next year. So I was having this conversation. We want to pay all these guys. We want to pay Conforto. We want to pay Strowman. If we give the qualifying offer to Syndergaard, next year Jake can just say, hey, I want Bauer money. And if let's say luxury tax says, of course we're going to go over it, but who knows what a DeGrom extension would look like if that's Bauer money for 5 years. So Should they re-sign Strowman? He's deserved it. He's pitched, he shut me up. I didn't think he'd be this good. I didn't think he'd be good. I thought he'd be like a 3.5 ERA, capable 4-starter. He's outperformed him. Maybe an all-star. We'll talk about that a little later. He's deserved at least to be in the conversation of we should bring this guy back, but at what price? That's just kind of where I'm at.
All right, Elias, what have your thoughts been about Showman this season and going forward?
Yeah, Strowman's been awesome. I mean, with the injury, I'm not too worried. This dude's phenomenal when it comes to conditioning and whatnot. If you follow him on social media, he really prides himself. I mean, the dude blew his ACL and went to college. Like the dude's a total warrior. With this pitching this year, he's been phenomenal. I mean, he's getting the ground balls. He's also, striking out. What you kind of expect from him. I would have 100% try and re-sign him after the season. Coming into this year, everyone thought like, all right, we got Lindor, got to re-sign Conforto, and then find a way to get Syndergaard signed, and then Strowman, whatever, he can walk. But now it's like with him being as good as he's been, like you got to bring him back. You got to find a way. Now, if it means the difference between having Jacob Degrom or not, then obviously let him walk. It should be. I don't know if he'll probably make around that Zach Wheeler range. I think Zach Wheeler is a little better because of he can strike guys out a little better than Strowman can. But he's not the youngest guy in the world, but he's definitely not old. But I would be totally in favor of bringing back Marcus Strowman. Obviously there's gonna be a price tag like every player, but hopefully that MLB just gets rid of the luxury tax and promotes teams to actually spend money, which no one does, which is just ridiculous. But that's besides the point. Love Strowman, got to bring him back. Not really too worried about the injury.
Tony, how are you feeling about Strowman?
Yeah, dating back to last offseason after he opted out and all that fallout, and then
are you still blocked?
I was about to say, and then obviously getting blocked as well. But I mean, I'm not like in the minority there. I feel like 98% of Mets fans are blocked by Strowman.
I'm not.
There you go. Anyway, I was not like the biggest fan of his. I wasn't a big proponent of his. I didn't think that he was like anything more than a number 3 starter at best. That being said, he has put a foot in my mouth and it's completely outperformed my expectations. And I am never more happy than to be wrong about the Mets. It was the same thing with Diaz, with you Mets fan. I'm always willing to admit that I was wrong when a Met player, outperforms my expectations. So I'm loving it. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Your original question here, Frank, was, do we re-sign him now given the injuries that we are having over this season? And I absolutely, you got to look into it. I think Strowman, number one, really likes being here, especially under the Cohen ownership. Strowman preaches about being all about, his business, about, winning, about, going and performing at the highest possible level. And this is an ownership group that I believe has instilled that culture and will continue to. So I think they'll find a fair market value for him. I think that they'll be able to re-sign him and, hopefully, like you said, Andrew, qualifying offer for Syndergaard, and all of a sudden, the rotation's looking okay next year.
Hayden, how are you feeling about Marcus Strowman? Blue Jays talk with Hayden, former Blue Jay, now a Met. What do you think?
Listen, Strowman's definitely like everyone else. He shut me up. I mean, when we first got him in 2019 at the trade deadline, he didn't do too bad. He didn't do too good with the Mets. He was about average. I think he was around almost that 4 ERA. Not really the type of guy that he claimed to be as an all-star with Toronto. And then obviously there was, some, inadequate emotions pertaining to Marcus Strowman because a lot of people were upset that he opted out and they said it was bogus. It wasn't because of the injury. So a lot of, kind of left it up, a salty bad taste in our mouth. And then, he really shut up a lot of Met fans. Like we said, the walk rate is going down, the chase rate, the strikeout rate, the splitter slider rate, all that stuff is great for Strowman. And no doubt about it, I would definitely extend him. I think someone before. A lot of people weren't really paying attention to Strowman in terms of extensions. Everyone was talking more Conforto. So, and I think it now comes to the point is, well, we got Lindor down. I mean, Conforto probably can happen at any time, and especially being a core Scott Boras client, that's a whole other story. But Strowman is a guy that I think would be willing to stay with this team. He brings that nice energy, that nice swag to the team, kind of like him and Lindor have that nice little combination of swag. We see him at the press conferences. He's so funny. I really like the guy. I really do. I think he could definitely be a nice number 2, number 3 starter for this team when everyone's healthy. I mean, going into the playoffs, maybe having when healthy, a Degrom, Syndergaard, Strowman, that would be very comfortable for me. And then I think you asked about in terms of Noah Syndergaard, correct?
No, we can get to the Syndergaard later, but just Strowman in general. I mean, is he someone that you think should be signed long term? With just all this uncertainty, because we still are yet to see Carrasco, and we're not really supposed to talk about him. But honestly, I'd be surprised if we see him. I just think that the way that it is setback after setback after setback, and it's so much different with starting pitchers than is a position player, because you put a guy on a rehab assignment, they're not back the next week. Carrasco needs to go through an entire spring training. So that means he needs to pitch a whole month in the minors, stay healthy, and then he could come to the major leagues, start building his arm up. So he is getting up there in age. It's a lot easier said than done. So I feel like that is given Strowman more value. What do you think, Hayden?
No, I agree. Listen, I think in terms of injuries, it's tough. Obviously, we as a Met fan, we could say we've always had our fair share of injuries. I guess this year we were pretty much the 2020 Yankees, unfortunately, and it's tough. I mean, those are valid points in terms of Strowman. I mean, it just depends how many years do you want to give him, how much money do you want to give him. I'll tell you one thing right now, Strowman and Walker are pitching better than Trevor Bauer. I'll say that. I think Strowman is easily a top 20 pitcher as of right now. What the dude's been putting up, I've been very confident with him on the dish. I know Mets fans giving a little spurk. I'm going to look at the camera and strangle him.
Enough. Let's just all
right, so Mets
that
fan,
sticky
when
shit.
it comes to extended Marcus Strowman, he is going to be in his 30s. So do you think that the analytics say that Strowman is a guy that can age well and that he will be sustainable if you were to give him a long-term contract?
All right. Well, before I get into it, out of the 6 of us, was I like the only full advocate for Strowman this year?
Probably.
Was I the only
Pretty
one?
much.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
As for I'll start off with the injuries here. I'm not worried about Strowman. I think Elias said a little bit more about this, about how he tore his ACL with Toronto, and then he had it also back a few years before. He came back 5 months later, and then pitched better than ever. I mean, the guy's a warrior, like we said. I want him to be. I do want him to be a Met for life. Obviously, I mean, you can. I think he's. I think he's been as awesome as I expected him to be this year. I expected him to take a step up. He also, he does want to be here. It's the same thing that we went through with Lindor. He wants to be a Met. He's from New York. His family's here. He's best friends with so many guys in that clubhouse, guys like Pilar and Taijuan Walker. He's just an awesome guy, and he's so entertaining to watch, just like on the mound. It's a match made in heaven at this point. Stro show needs to continue in Queens. He belongs here. He's definitely earned it. But as for analytically, we'll go into that. Strowman's so weird analytically because metrics hate him and then analytics like him. So, and that's just because he's not a high volume strikeout pitcher, and a lot of these metrics like strikeouts. But what he's able to do where he induces contact, but it's never really hard contact. I mean, it's incredible what he does. I'm not saying it's one of a kind, but it's definitely something that is weird how he's able to be dominant like that. For how hard he really throws, he's probably going to top out his 95 in his career. He's throwing harder than he's ever been right now, but he has such a big arsenal. I'm pretty sure he throws like 7 different pitches. That's just longevity, speaking its name at its finest. He's 30 years old right now. Am I saying it's Zach Greinke longevity? No, but that's what he talks about all the time. He says longevity is the key, and I'm all for it, and I would love for him to do it in Queens. Love for it.
What I've liked about Marcus Showman is, like you were saying, the way he has really embraced the team culture. We know this is a young team, very energetic. They're always doing their chirp celebrations. And you see that Showman is very active in the dugout, even on the days where he's not pitching. I mean, we all see the emotion he shows on the day he does pitches, but to still just see how involved he is with the team when he's not pitching, I believe is really encouraging. And like you saw on social media, very supportive of Kevin Pillar. He is extremely supportive of Jacob Degrom because
I was told he was a bad teammate.
Oh my God!
Yeah, exactly.
He's like
Marcus Showman. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's always saying DeGrom's the best, all this, and like that's just really good to see from a guy like that. If you do want to keep him here long term, so it definitely looks like he is a good fit, and you have to like what you see. A guy that you got on a 1-year deal, a prove-it deal, he is proving it. And where would this team be without him? Had they not given him that qualifying offer, they would be in a much different situation. So far, that has turned out to be a very nice deal. So let's go over to the offensive side of the ball. As you know, we saw some guys come back. Conforto was back. McNeil is back. But the guy who has a little bit of controversy around his playing time pending his return is Brandon Nemo. So we will go to the guy with the Nemo shirt in the background. Andrew, when Brandon Nemo does come back, he's a guy that, not a great defensive center fielder, but he gets on base. So the Mets are in first place without Nemo. So when he comes back, does he have to earn that center field spot back, or does he have it right away?
So I'm going to steal something from Mets fans' video. You're telling me Tony Gwynn can't go into this lineup? Come on. It's Brandon Nemo. Kevin Pillar has. Let's get real. Kevin Pillar had a really good stretch when Nemo was out. He has cooled down. He's hitting missiles to end games. In big spots, he's hitting ball really hard, just at people. But Pillar has cooled down to what he was. Obviously, gets hit in the head, and then he got really hot after he got back. But he's cooled down. It was always Nemo's job. It's been it since day one. Will he probably play a little Pillar against a lefty? Yes. Maybe you move Nemo to left, and because if healthy, your whole outfield's left-handed. Dom, Conforto, and Nim. Does he need to win it back? No, it's his job. I mean, the replacements have come in and played well. If it was Vargas who played well for the little bit he was there, Pillar's played well, but it's always been Nemo's position, and nobody's taken that away from him yet. Could there be a maybe deadline deal that moves him to left? We'll see.
A deadline deal. All right, we'll get to that a little later. So everyone stay tuned for that. Elias, what have you thought about, Brandon Neville come back to lineup? It's been a while since we've seen him. Does he still have it? Can he still get on base and hit well? Because not only was he getting on base, he was also getting a lot of hits. So it wasn't just drawing walks. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the whole he has to earn a spot back is just ludicrous. Like, he's our starting center fielder. I've shat on his defense so much. I wouldn't say he's proven me wrong, but he hasn't been, useless out there. So yeah, he's not going to lose his job to, Kevin Pillar, Albert Almora. I love Kevin Pillar, but like Andrew said, he's gotten cold. He's not an elite defender himself either. So it's Nemo's job. I don't think he's going to continue to get as many hits as he gets, but he's going to continue getting on base. He's going to walk a million times a game. Walk and sprint straight to first base. I love that. That's his game. He gets on base. Guys can drive him in. He does not need to earn a spot back, and I 100% think he's going to keep it up. His play style might adjust a bit, less about getting hits, more about walking. But that's kind of what his play style has always been. So yeah, I love him. Who doesn't?
All right, Hayden, where do you think Nemo should be in the order when he comes back? I mean, do you throw him right back into the leadoff spot and put him under that kind of pressure? Because it has been a while. What do you think about Nemo?
Questions to me, or you said Hayden?
Yes, to you, Hayden.
Yeah. I mean, I know in terms of Brandon Nemo, there was the question this offseason of who would you rather have lead off, Francisco Lindor or Brandon Nemo. You could even make the argument Jeff McNeil. And it's going to be tough. I mean, as we know, as Mets fan and the Moneyball people say from the Oakland A's, he gets on base. And in terms of Brandon Nemo, basically, could I touch on the outfielding and him returning first?
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, with Brandon Nemo and stuff, like I said, I don't think he'll have to worry about a spot. I think his spot is safe and secure. I think Pillar, all those AAA guys were just keeping it warm. They were keeping it cozy for him. He improved defensively before he got hurt. We know in spring training he was playing more backwards. We did see that a couple times during the season, actually. But in terms of Brandon Nemo with his bat, he was swinging a lot. He was trying to get more aggressive in there, which, did obviously result in less walks and more hits or more outs, obviously. But yeah, pretty much I would believe he'll probably be very, very careful. We've never seen Nemo play in a full season before. So it comes to a point are the Mets going to want to keep that if he's capable of playing a full season? Could he be a trade guy? It's a possibility. I mean, I would hate to see it. I love Nemo. I know Andrew's shaking his head. He's like, no, I would hate to see it. I love Nemo. He's awesome. His smile, run to first base. In terms of the lineup, yeah, I could definitely see him batting anywhere first, second. I mean, you're not going to put him eighth, ninth, obviously. But I could definitely see him leading off first or second. And it's just crazy because we never really seen this full lineup healthy that played together for more than 2 weeks. So, it's going to be the question of that. But I'm not concerned with Nemo. His spot is safe. No worries with Nemo in terms of his spot. Injury, hopefully he performs up to scratch prior to his injury.
All right, Tony, what do you think? Because this was a hand injury that Nemo had. So, first hit by pitch, first, jammed, broken bat. It could re-aggravate. How are you feeling about Nemo?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt Nemo is an injury-prone player, which is unfortunate because when he is on the field, he's one of the most productive players in all of Major League Baseball. So, now this is, I guess, his fifth complete season. He got his first call in 2016, and pretty much every single season he spent some time on the injured list. So hopefully this will be a turning point for him and he can stay healthy. I would not ever consider trading him, while he's on his rookie contract right now, because you just won't find that kind of value for what you're paying him anywhere else in the league. So when he does return, I'm hoping to see him play center field every day and hitting in the leadoff spot every day where he belongs. If they want to, maybe ease him into things and let him start a couple games in his first week, like in the 8th spot or even the 9th spot, I'm not crazy about that idea. But, I have also seen over the years where a guy gets back from injury, slow start, and it really can affect the rest of the lineup. So I personally do believe he should be hitting leadoff, but if they do choose to give him some time, to ease into it, like in the 8th or 9th spot, then, I'm fine with that.
And Mets fan, you made a whole video about Brandon Nemo this week. So
Yes.
How do you feel about him? Does he still have what it takes to be, Tony Gwynn 2.0?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if any of y'all thought this question was crazy, but I was seeing it so much being talked about so much on Twitter that I had to include it in the format. This was my question, by the way, for anybody who's watching. And the answer is a resounding no. Brandon Nemo is our center fielder, and he's one of the best hitters in baseball. And I go into that all of my video if you want to check that out. Shameless plug right there. But I mean, I like Kevin Pillar, but I feel like we're getting a little bit more than what we want from him. Pillar has regressed defensively. His bat isn't the best, but it's serviceable, unlike Almora, who can't really hit a beach ball. But Nemo is so underrated, and I don't think people realize how good he is because his health usually dictates his ability to play to his ability. We just need this guy healthy. Pillar, Almora, these depth guys, they're depth pieces for a reason. These guys aren't in the everyday plans, even though they can play every day. This is like the whole conversation, just like Nemo is our 4th outfielder debate. Just save it. It just sounds stupid at this point. Nemo is our center fielder.
Exactly. Who needs to answer when you have Brandon Nemo? The words from the great
Exactly.
Sandy Alderson. Okay, so let's get to another guy who has been an Iron Man for this team. He's played almost every single game, if I'm not mistaken. Francisco Lindor. Hayden, when it comes to Lindor, the numbers still aren't exactly what you hope for. Are you worried about him? Does Lindor have what it takes to really be this perennial all-star for the Mets for a long time to come?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure as, the last live stream we did together, you all could tell I was not super big on Francisco Lindor. I'm sure if this was someone else's stream, they could just pull up the clip of me smashing my hat. Pretty much with Francisco Lindor, it's tough. We signed him coming off a rough 2020 season, but you can't judge 2020. And then we also signed him coming off of a complex second half of 2019 where he really struggled. So this is really tough with Lindor. Do I ever think he'll reach up to that $341 million contract? Absolutely not. Personally, the best I could probably see him is going 25, 30 home runs, 70 RBIs and a 280 average. That's really the best I could see out of him. So far, it just comes to inconsistency. Sorry. He'll have a game where he hits 2 home runs, drives in 5 RBIs like he did with the Nationals game. I mean, we practically won that game because of him. He gave us the leading runs. And then he'll have 2 days where he goes 0 for 6. And listen, that happens to guys. That happens to Bryce Harper. That happens to Mike Trout. That happens to any player that has a huge contract, anyone, any major leaguer. But I think it comes to the problem is when you get extremely cold, one hot game, cold. So you have to be consistent with Lindor. And he's been getting better, don't get me wrong. The last big stream we did together, he was practically an automatic out. He was constantly grounding out, flying out. He had a little phase where he was constantly striking out, but it wasn't too long. And then he went back to that grounding out phase. And now he's starting to improve in terms of getting on base. But with Lindor, it's tough. Defensively, I think he's pretty solid. He has made a couple, defensive mishaps, which happen to the best of us. But I think in terms of if I wanted a guy who's going to bat, 215 and give me a nice solid glove, I would have went for a guy like Iglesias or, any other shortstop. Don't get me wrong. There's so many plays that I see that said, oh, no way Rosario would have made that. No way Jimenez would have made that. It's going to be tough with Lindor. And I'm just concerned as everyone says, oh, well, he'll break out next year. But the thing is, all offseason, it's going to be Lindor. Is he going to play well? What do we do? That's going to be the whole talk this offseason. So I want him to get into his rhythm now in the second half than the first half of 2022, because all offseason, that's going to be the topic.
Very good point. Elias, what have your thoughts been on Lindor? The Mets, they really were bent over barrel. They had to give him the extension because if not, it would have been, lulled Mets all season, reporters all over Cohen, all over Alderson, Rojas, Lindor, every single day about his contract. So what have your thoughts been this first, even though the extension hasn't taken over yet, but just his first year on the Mets in general? Is he a fit in New York?
Yeah, man. I think it's crazy to judge if he's going to be worth a 10-year contract after 60 games. Like I'm sorry, man, but Lindor, he's 27 years old. He's going to have plenty of time to get better. He's got all the tools in the world. You never know. Players improve all the times when they switch teams, when you get different coaching, different all sorts of stuff. I think he's 100% a fit in New York. He's a great personality, that side of New York. And, he's a great, incredible leader on the team. I mean, how many times have we seen him, a pitcher's getting, struggling. He comes, helps him out. I think Lindor's his best days, I think, are ahead of him, if I'm being honest. I think his glove has been really great this year, which we haven't, had a great shortstop defensively. I liked what I saw from Jimenez last year, but, a full season shortstop in a while, who's good defensively. I think the hitting will come. He's, really hot and cold right now, but I think Lindor's best days are to come.
Tony, how are you feeling about Lindor in his first year with the Mets? I mean, we've seen a lot of guys come in here, whether it's, that one guy that came from, Pittsburgh and then to Boston. I don't want to say his name, or, Piazza, he struggled a little bit when he first got here. My favorite player, Beltran, had a little bit of struggles and had an insane year. So, I mean, we've seen stuff like this before. Do you think Lindor is going to be kind of like that, or is he, more of Roberto Alomar kind of status?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be just fine. I don't know if he's going to be like a perennial 30 home run hitter, but I know he's going to be a very valuable player. Obviously, Hayden touched on it. His defense is as good as anyone else at shortstop in baseball. And I do think his bat will come around. He was in the beginning of the season chasing a lot of pitches out of the zone, and the pitches that he was hitting, just weak contact. And again, like you were saying, Hayden, he will have one really great game, but then go cold for the next 2 or 3, but then have another great game, but then go cold again. So hopefully he'll be able to figure it out, and he just continues to get more comfortable in a Mets uniform. And the biggest thing that I've really loved is the leadership that he's brought to this team, as you all touched on. Giving these pep talks to the pitchers, communicating with everybody in the dugout. And honestly, it I think is actually taking a lot of pressure off of Pete Alonso and even Michael Conforto, who's really more of a quiet leader. Francisco's been the vocal leader. He's been the guy that's been able to keep guys focused and, tuned into the game. So I think he brings so much value. Maybe that kind of value is now worth $350 million, but I think he's going to get his bat going eventually, and we'll see the Lindor that we saw when he was with Cleveland.
Andrew, what do you think? I mean, it definitely, you see so many people that are like, oh, Lindor is a bust. Oh my God, I love Lindor. So, the fans, they change at a snap of a finger. But what have your thoughts been just like this entire year?
Again, defensively, he's a wizard. He makes pretty much most plays hit in his direction. Just go make it, and he'll make some plays in the hole that, again, we haven't had shortstop since Ray Ordonez that could have made them plays. Reyes was great, wasn't the greatest defensively, and obviously go through Tejada, whoever past Mets shortstops.
Flores.
The offense of the the bat
World Series team. He was starting in the World Series, so think of that.
Let's not think about that. How it ended, but
Matt
again,
Reynolds, no, Matt Reynolds.
Yeah, we had a lot of different guys trying to take hold.
He got a National League ring, right?
He was on the team.
He was on the team. Go ahead.
So, that's all. The offense has been the biggest issue. It seems, I said it kind of, ragefully last night. Every time this guy comes up with a guy in scoring position, second and third, it's a soft ground ball to first or a soft ground ball to short. He's drawing walks. I mean, he's getting on base at a good clip, but he does have 9 homers. So it seems like any hit, it always seems to be a homer. Like he can't just get he'll get like a bloop single and then a homer, and then he'll go 0 for 9. He was, before going into last night's game, an 0 for 12. So again, had a great night last night, had one good night against the Nationals. You need to see the consistency offensively with him. And we all know it's in there. We're not going to throw, 4 or 5 years of 35 homers, 25 doubles just out the window. Like he's not just lost Monstars, lost all his talent, and now he can't play baseball. So the defense is there. You hope the offense comes up. The clutchness, that's the one thing I'm a stickler. That every time this guy comes up in a big spot, he fails. And I don't want to be this. Can you win a World Series with him as your best player? Because it didn't work in Cleveland. And yes, you could say Jacob Degrom is the better player, yes. But offensively, can you win a World Series with him being your best offensive player? That's he didn't do it when a great offensive team and great pitching in Cleveland. Again, could that change? Of course. We keep saying give it time, but we're almost halfway through his first year. So you got to start seeing something soon.
All right, so
was he their best offensive player in Cleveland? Like that team was more built on pitching and whatnot with Kluber.
Yeah, I mean, Tate, who's your better offensive player, younger Jose Ramirez or him? So Jose Ramirez.
At that point in time, Lindor was.
Yeah,
what? They went to a Game 7. They went a whole Chapman and the rain and all that. And baseball is such a team sport. You'll see a guy have a ridiculous series. Even if Lindor did have a ridiculous series, Mets still lost. You can't say, you can't win with Lindor as your best hitter. It takes so much. And if he is doing so well, you just walk the guy. So, it really is going to come down to a whole team effort. But you're right, Andrew. I mean, that's the thing that stands out. When it comes down to the very late in the ball games, he gets the big walk. Not so much the big hit, but he does get the big walk. So, Mets fan, what I want to ask you is that when you look at Lindor's Baseball Savant page, nothing really jumps out. Nothing's oh my gosh, he's getting unlucky. Look at the ex-Woba. Look at this. So you do tweet that the resurgence is coming. What have you seen in particular that makes you feel that way?
Okay, well, worried about Francisco Lindor. I am not. I'm not worried about him. I think he supplies the value he needs to be serviceable offensively. But this is what I've tried to warn everybody about before the season started. The Francisco Lindor that you think he is not Francisco Lindor. And I think Mets fans are finally realizing that, and they're getting frustrated. Lindor is just not this high-profile, explosive offensive player that you think he is. He really has never been that. I'm not saying he's not a superstar. I'm saying that the expectation of Lindor that has been created by Mets fans all over the place, it's probably going to disappoint you 99.9% of the time. Now, what is Francisco Lindor? What does he provide? He provides all 5 tools. The tools that are needed for a complete baseball player. But since he goes through these stretches that are very noticeable, it doesn't seem like he's doing anything sometimes. But with that being said, I promise you the results will come. I just don't expect them to be high volume this year. And next year, like I've been saying, next year, everyone might be joining me on the Francisco Lindor resurgence bandwagon. It's just only a matter of time right now. It'll come. He's just not the player that everyone thinks that he was going to be. I mean, I don't want to put that off as a bad thing, but it's going to slowly develop into what it's supposed to be. You just got to be patient at this point.
I mean, we still haven't finished the first year. We still have 11 years to go. So I mean, he has to have some great years somewhere in there, whether it's year 4, year 8, year 3, whatever. I mean, eventually it has to happen. I mean, you could just see that the talent is there. Like, he can hit a 2 home run game. He's played great defense all year. He can run the bases very well. It all just comes down to that consistency and hitting in those, big spots, as we like to say. And, again, a lot of times they do walk him. So I think that he still does have some respect from pitchers. They're not just throwing him down the middle or pitching around the hitter in front of him to face him. Like, the opposing team still respects him. He's still someone you have to think about, so it makes the other people in your lineup better. You always talk about having that protection for your other guys, protection for Mcgill, protection for Alonso. And Lindor still does provide that. So let's get off of the players and let's go to the manager, Luis Rojas, who is, all in all, is managing a first-place team. We may not agree with all of his decisions, but they are winning. So, Elias, what have you thought about Mr. Rojas in his first full season as a member of the New York Mets manager?
Yeah, I think he really proved my point that good teams can have shitty managers and make it far. Like, his in-game decision is pretty bad most of the time, but you got to give him credit that he's getting, a ton out of a bunch of scrubs. All respect to all the fill-ins, but like, you guys aren't, these elite players. I think that's kind of a specialty, though. I mean, he's been all about player development in the lower levels of the minor league system. He's been working with the younger players. I think he's a lot better with that. So yeah, is his in-game decision bad a lot of times? Yes, but we're winning games and he's getting the most out of a lot of players, which is kind of the manager's job. I mean, a lot of his, moves really backfire against him, but, a lot of, he never makes that one move that makes everyone go, oh, wow, what a great move. Wow, that really worked out for us. But, I mean, he's doing his job. He's in the middle of the road. I don't think he's as bad as some Mets fans think he is. I mean, is he good at in-game decision? No, but teams winning, that's all I really care about. So, yeah.
Exactly. Just win. All right, Hayden, what do you think about Rojas? Do you still want to go over there and punch him in the face or take his lunch money, or have you calmed down a little bit on him?
I love Luis Rojas. I loved him since day one. No, I mean, listen, you look at Luis Rojas, this is his first full season in effect. Throughout so many times of this 2021 season, I thought he faced this Waterloo. I thought he was finished. I thought once, earlier in the season, when the hitting coaches got fired, I thought he was going to take the same trip with them. Surprisingly, he's kind of earned some positivity on my side. Obviously, 2020, we can't take too much into that. But focusing on him right now, we know my past, and we know him generally in the past. I think taking a general look at him, he's as Elias pointed out, good teams could have crappy managers. I mean, for an example, look at the White Sox. Obviously, there's going to be points where look in the World Series, good managers can make bad moves. The thing with Luis Rojas is I feel he makes some moves that are kind of it puts a like the flying question mark on my head. Like when you put Lugo in to face one batter and then you put Diaz in for the ninth. I'm like, so you're telling me you're going to waste one dude for one batter? It's the moves like that I don't understand, that I think if we were to go to the playoffs would kill us. And that's one thing that I'm kind of concerned about having, a young manager. All the guys like him. We've been seeing me standing up for his players more. Whenever, this year we've been seeing terrible calls for the umpires. I've been seeing at least probably we're approaching that dozen mark of him, chirping. They show him, chirping, taking off his mask, saying some stuff. He's getting better. He's getting better, standing up for his players. But the problem is he fires himself up, but he doesn't fire his players up. And that's what I think Rojas really needs to start going at, is to fire his players up. When there's a bad call and you're down by one and you have, bases loaded. I want you to run it out of dugout, throw your hat, fire your guys up. Don't fire yourself up. But overall with Luis Rojas, he's getting better. He's standing up for his players more. Kind of like Callaway's silly bullpen moves. The lineups have been getting better, whether that was him or not. I'm sure he had some partake in it. But some of the lineups are definitely a little intriguing. But overall, I think we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. We'll see if the Mets can make the playoffs. That'll be a big point for Luis Rojas to see how he handles himself in high leverage situations, especially going into August, September, the second half when you want that playoff push. And that's really all we could see with Luis.
Tony, what do you think about his in-game managing or just the way that he plans a game out? He gets very caught up on having guys be righty-lefty, gets very caught up on having a very specific game plan, and if it doesn't work out, it seems like you may say he's punting some games away. Like, this guy's going to pitch 3 innings, that guy's going to pitch 2 innings, whether they're good or not. That's what I'm going with. So what do you thought about Rojas? Have you seen any changes from the 2020 season to this year? He hasn't had exactly, the greatest deck to work with, but how do you think he's done?
I actually feel like I've seen a change even from earlier in this season, and I've actually been really happy with how he's been managing lately. I feel like he's built a pretty solid bridge to get to Diaz in the ninth, whether it be Lugo or May or Loop. I think he's been using those 3 guys really well over the last couple of weeks. I think obviously, with all the injuries, he's done his best, and he kept McKinney in the lineup while he was hot. And, now that McKinney's cooled down, he hasn't been in the lineup as often. So he's not sticking to his guns by any means, even when the numbers prove that he's wrong. So I've actually really think he's improved in that department. The one game that I think we tweeted back and forth about it, Frank, was when he put Barnes in and Tatis hit the grand slam.
Oh my God.
That was a punt right there. I mean, I think they were trying to save May to close the game should they have the lead, but you can't look at it that way. If it's the 7th inning, the game is tied, the bases are loaded, and the best player in baseball is up to bat, you put in your best pitcher regardless of the score. It didn't make any sense, because obviously what happened was he gave up a grand slam. Even if he only gave up a 2-run double, well, all the momentum out of that balloon is gone. But I think he's gotten away from that, and he's been doing better. That is the one game that I took issue with of late. But other than that, I think he's actually been doing much better on his in-game managing.
What about you, Andrew? Does Rojas get the thumbs up or the thumbs down? What do you say?
I said it the first day I was on Mets Weekly, and I will continue to say he's Rick Renter, will you? He's going to be – even if they win the World maybe if they win the World Series, maybe. This is going to be – this wasn't a Sandy guy. They go out and win the World Series, he'll be here. Depending on how he does, I feel he's going to be replaced at the end of the year with somebody Sandy wants. Has he performed with he's gotten guys where he's taking the bench guys and they continue to win, so do you give him a little bit of credit? Yeah. Does he rip my hair out with somebody's not putting double switches and wants to bring Lugo in the game, but then doesn't double switching so Lugo doesn't have to come up? No, it doesn't do that. He did that yesterday, which I actually tweeted. Hey, he knows how to double switch once in a while. Again, he's improved from last year. Do I like him? Of course not, because he's the manager of the Mets. I think nobody ever really likes the manager of their favorite team because they're going to piss him off. So has he improved? Yes. Can we win the division with him being the manager? We'll see.
All right, Mets fan, do you think that Rojas, does he go with the analytics? Does he go away with the analytics as far as his decision-making on a day-to-day basis? What do the analytics say about what Rojas does?
Does he go with analytics? No, not at all. To be honest, I've just made my peace at this point, that the fact that if I were a manager, I have my style and he has his. The players respect him. They like his style of leadership, and it also looks like he's been learning a little bit along the way, but the team's winning. So I've said my piece already. There's nothing really to go off about him as of right now, except for a few questionable moves. Do I think he's the right manager for this team or any big league team? No, not at all. Do I think he's a great guy to have in this organization? Yes, 100%. I've become neutral about this guy at this point. Some things I like, some things I strongly dislike. But at the end of the day, he seems to still have control over the clubhouse. The players like him, and I guess that's all that matters for now. And also, for the people who said that we whiffed on Girardi 2 years ago, your opinion really should not matter for the next century. You're just embarrassing yourself at this point. It's just, I don't know. It's Luis Rojas. There's nothing like extreme you can say about him. There's nothing like amazing you can say about him. He's a face and a voice. That's about it. That's all I'm seeing at this point.
Tony had to go to a softball game, so at least we got Tony. Everyone's channel, all of them are in the description, all the links. So if you want to check any of these guys out, subscribe to them. Anyone new can subscribe to me. We all appreciate Mets Weekly is back. So now we're going to get to some of the fun questions. We're not so much worried about, what have we seen, this, that, and the other. So these are just some questions for fun. Let's do some bullpen report cards for the pitcher. So to narrow it down, I put the guys that have gotten the most appearances. So guys like Gazelman, Reed Foley, Drew Smith, Familia, Loop, Castro, May, Lugo, Diaz. I'm not going to put Jacob Barnes or some of these other guys who are not on the team anymore and other guys who have, only made a couple appearances and then got sent down. So
you want to go one by one? You want to go one by one? Like
yeah,
one by one?
We can
Yeah,
go one by one.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with pretty much the guy who's been the long man, Robert Gazelman, who just tore his lat. He's going to be out at least 6 to 8 weeks. So from what we did see from Robert Gazelman, how did we feel about him? Let's start with Elias.
Yeah, pleasantly surprised. It's one guy I thought would probably get non-tendered over the offseason. He was really awful last year, primarily used as a starting pitcher. This is kind of what he is, though, a long reliever. I like what I've seen. He's ridiculously injury-prone. It seems like he has a season-ending injury every year. 2019, I think, was a triceps thing. Last year he had something, and now this year he has a big injury. So, I feel bad for him. You never want to see players go down with injury. But, he's pleasantly surprised me. Is he this elite bullpen arm? No, but, he's depth for a really good bullpen.
Hayden, what kind of grade would you give Robert Gazelman from the performances that he had this season up until the injury?
Yeah, well, looking at Robert Gazelman, as Elias and everyone else would say, he was a surprise. Personally, I wasn't super high on him going into this season. I was calling him a minor leaguer, and that was really it. Maybe a poor performing major leaguer. Obviously, we know him and Lugo kind of helped carry this team in 2016. So I thought when all these injuries happened, I said, hey, maybe we can get some luck again, 2016 vibes. He's injured. We don't know when he's going to be coming back. With Gazelman, he pitched all right. He started to get a little shaky before the injury, but I don't know if it was related to the injury or if it was related to just him being a basic pitcher as he usually is. It's tough to pinpoint exactly what I'd give him. I probably wouldn't give him a high score. I'd in terms of bullpen, it's tough. I'd probably throw him at least a D or a C. It's
C plus maybe.
C plus. Yeah, I'm taking it with a grain of salt. He pitched well.
He hasn't pitched a ton. That's the thing.
He doesn't pitch a lot. He pitched well for the times he got in. I think he had around that sub-2 ERA. And then he started to get a little shaky, as I stated, and I don't know if that was because of the injury or because of himself, but I'd give him a C or a D.
26.2 innings. That's all he
Yeah, and a lot of them, they come with very little outings because his outings he does, it's, 3 innings, 2 innings, 3 innings. So he's not a guy that's out there, a few times a week. You maybe see him a couple of times a week at most. So what did you think, Andrew, in his only 26 innings that he pitched?
Damn, I guess I'm the nice teacher here. You guys are like burying everybody. The expectations with Gazelman, he was just another arm out there. I think we all he had like a 5 ERA, I believe, last year. He was bad. He's always injured. For what we saw, I gave him a B because I had my expectations were low. He subbed 4. Again, he 8 innings when he needed to. So he did what he was supposed to do. So, you can't bury him as bad as, he doesn't, wasn't walking everybody, wasn't giving up a ton of runs. He did give up some runs. He was serviceable. It's like, give him a B. Be nice.
All right, Mets fan, you've been a guy that has tried to stand up for Gazelman even when we were all ready to bash him. So, from when he did pitch, what did you think?
All right, well, he gets a B for me. as well. I'm so happy that Hefner fixed his mistake with him, and it paid off where he's just not trying to make him a primary strikeout pitcher. His sinker has, I mean, it looked the best that I've ever seen in a long time. His velocity looks like it was back. He was getting the job done for the most part. But he's Robert Gazelman. He's the guy who cannot catch a break at all, and he's on the IL. I can't even say he's unlucky at this point. I can just only say he just can't have nice things. I feel so bad for the guy because he was actually starting to take a move forward and be like somewhat of a key long relief piece to this bullpen, but it sucks, but wish him nothing but the best. I think he has the potential to be good somewhere if it's not with the Mets.
I also gave Gazelman a B because of the kind of outings he was used in, where David Pearson, he'll only go 2 innings, and you're like, all right, we got to get this guy. We got to bring someone else in. So out of nowhere, boom, Robert Gazelman comes in, and he saves the bullpen, and he kept the Mets in the game. You know, there were some games that really we don't win if we didn't have somebody like Gazelman give you those multiple innings because these other guys can't really do it. I mean, like, every now and then they'll try to do it with Cashel, they'll try to do it with Familia, but that is Gazelman's best role. I think their usage of him was much better. He's not a guy that you bring in with the bases loaded and 2 outs. I mean, that's just has disaster written all over it. But if you use him in these nice little long relief roles, they got the most out of him. And again, we wish him a speedy recovery. So I gave him a B as well. Because also, like you said, Andrew, when it comes to expectations, he definitely exceeded expectations. We're like, why even give this guy a contract? Why even keep him? But, I mean, he definitely has helped out this team. He's been more positive than negative, so he gets a B. Because he did have some rougher outings, like Elias said towards the end, right before he got injured. Did have to do with the injury. Did have to do with the workload, because that's something where Gazelman, he's a guy that the more, if you use him too much, he can lose effectiveness. So I feel like that could have been something that was happening because more and more they were having to rely on him a lot as, the season has progressed. All these double headers, now you don't have off days. So they've just had to really tax the entire bullpen. And again, we hope that we see him back soon. So let's go to the other long relief man who he gets called up, he gets sent down, and that is Sean Reed Foley. So we'll go back to Mets fan. What did you think about Mr. SRF mustache in the squad? Weird looking guy, but he got some results when he first came up.
Yeah, the Spearman, he's been good. Now he did have a few tough outings. I mean, every pitcher does. But he's been there for when we needed him in long relief. And he made a great first, second, third impression. I can't complain. B+.
Very good. All right, Hayden, what do you think about Sean Reed Foley when we saw him?
Yeah, definitely one of the more intriguing pitchers that we were called up to on this team this season. The Blue Jays, I guess this comes point to the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays always give us nice pitchers. So, I mean, take it. We got Sean Reed Foley in the trade. I've been liking what I've been seeing out of him. I love his crazy crouching squat, up, whatever you call it. He's been getting the job done. I'd give him a solid B.
Nice. Elias, what's your grade for Mr. SRF?
Yeah, so I forgot that we were doing letter grades, so I would give Gazelman a C+, and I'm going to give Reed Foley a B. At first, like that first Cubs outing, we were all watching the game. We were getting fired up, like this dude with this dope mustache and these squats and throwing absolute gas, like 3 perfect innings. And yeah, he came back to earth for a little bit. He's giving up some homers. I feel bad for the guy though. He keeps getting sent down, called back up. I mean, they were doing that with freaking Jake Barnes on the team. Like, just keep him here. He's our long relief guy. Yeah. I like what I've seen from him. And we always like Hayden said, we get great pitchers from the Blue Jays. We got Sean Reed Foley and they got shitty Steven Matz. So you love to see it. I'd give him a B.
All right, Andrew, what do you think about Sean Reed Foley, who actually got sent down again, so he isn't even on the active roster right now. But, I mean, I feel like we'll see him again probably next week or in 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, again, if this was maybe 2 weeks ago, I think we all would have given him an A+, because, again, look at that. The spear, the mustache, how do you not give this guy an A+?
The squat. Can't forget the squat.
Exactly, the squat. It's amazing. Has come back. Obviously, he's come back to earth. Had a rough outing in Washington, giving up another home, one of the homers to Schwarber. Gave up a home run to Rizzo in the Cubs series. Gave him a B-. Again, this is a week ago. Easy A. It's my guy, Sean Reed Foley, the king of the spear, better than Roman. But right now I'll give him a B.
I actually had the same exact grade, Andrew. I had B minus. Like you said, it would have been A. It would have been in the A's had these last couple lines not happened. But we know he wasn't going to give up 0 runs for the entire season. Like, he was bound to have bad outings. But it just seems like he's slowly getting a little worse as time progresses. And we still don't know exactly what he is because, like we said, he's called up and he's sent down so much. We really have not seen him consistently. And his last outing was good. He did have the bad game on Saturday in the doubleheader against the Nationals. But I think all in all, again, similar to Robert Gazelman, with expectations, we don't really know. He didn't make the team on the opening day roster, but he did have these outings like that Cubs game where he really kept the Mets in the game and just gave them a ton of innings. And they kind of overused him a little bit as well, especially recently where he pitched a ton on Saturday. And then he was back in, was it Tuesday? He was in again. So, that's a lot of work on a guy like that for a reliever. But like you said, I'm going to go with B minus. And I imagine, again, we will see him back soon. So let's go to Drew Smith. I think he's probably the most interesting guy on the active roster right now because of the role that they use him in is so odd. It just seems like we have no one left. Oh, let's use Drew Smith now. Like, I just feel like they don't really have a set role for him. So, Andrew, let's go back to you. What kind of grade did you give Drew Smith on his very limited appearances so far? He is battling back from a big, significant injury throughout all of last year. He missed the end of the year. And then in spring training, he got hurt again. So Drew Smith's been dealing with some injuries. But, he still does have the stuff.
Yeah, he's only had a few opportunities. They brought him in a blowout. He did walk some guys and had to get Diaz into the game. Also had some clean innings. So just meet in the middle. I gave him a C because we really haven't seen him much. They put him in blowout situations, and then they'll bring him up when the bullpen's dead. Then he's coming in like in the 8th inning. So, like Frankie said, there's no role for him. He just kind of pitches whenever Rojas just pulls him out of the ball. But all right, you're in. No role. So I just gave him a C.
Elias, what grade do we have for Mr. D. Smith, but not Dom Smith, Drew Smith?
Yeah, D. Smitty. Yeah, he gets a C as well. He's kind of the cleanup guy when the rest of the team fucks it up. All right, Drew, try and figure it out. And a lot of times it doesn't seem to happen, which isn't entirely his fault. Obviously, blew that game in Miami. That was tough to see. I saw Tony tweet the other day, Mets fans, let's admit it, like Drew Smith isn't good or something like that. I wouldn't say he's not good. I wouldn't say he's not great. Obviously, he's quality depth. The flow is looking good. He's taking jabs at Rob Manfred, which you love to see. So I'm going to give him a C. He's kind of just average. He, like you said, not much of a role in this bullpen, but he's quality depth.
Hey, and what grade do you have jotted down for Drew Smith?
Yeah, like we said, it's tough. He's coming back from an injury. We saw he did play a little bit last year. He kind of struggled in the short 2020 season. I'd give him a solid C minus. There's not really a whole lot to say about him. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with a C minus.
All right, Mets fan, you have been the guy who's been in Drew Smith's corner. Probably since the day he was born. You've been, Drew Smith, Drew Smith, Drew Smith. So, like we said, we've only seen a little bit of him. How are his metrics looking? How's his spin rate doing? What can you tell us about how Drew Smith has pitched this year coming back from those injuries?
He's got good stuff. He really does. He's got a pretty good arsenal. That fastball cutter combo is pretty nice. I for one was very high on him, and I think it was a steal considering that we got him for Lucas Duda. So I love his cutter. It's awesome. That thing's like that's like Lugo's curveball, just a spinning top. I think he just needs to find a plan, and the team has to find a plan to put around him. It just doesn't make sense sometimes when they bring him in. He just seems like the lone guy that his name, but you're like, where did this guy come from? Like, who is this guy? Sometimes, but yeah, I think he'll be fine. He has great stuff. He throws pretty hard. He's got some versatility to him. It looked like he was starting to throw the changeup a little bit more in his last outing, which was starting to benefit him a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's still very early. He's recovering from some injuries, but it's Drew Smith. As of right now, he's a depth piece, but I do think that he will be a key piece down the stretch or probably in the next few years. So I'm still hopeful for Drew Smith.
If you had to
So,
put a letter
C.
grade,
C,
you give him a C
as
as
of
well.
right
Yeah, I
now.
mean,
So I haven't seen
I
much.
actually
Yeah.
had B minus because I think he has had good eyes. We just haven't really seen
Yeah.
him. And I think the perfect example is when Tony was talking about that game with Jacob Barnes and the Padres. When Jerry's Familia, you knew he was done. Like you knew Familia, he was out of gas. He's walking Jerry
He's not a two-inning
he's
guy.
walking Tommy Pham. And you have Drew Smith, who's fully rested. You could have gone to him that inning. Just started the inning with Drew Smith, not completely have to tire out Familia. Then after Jacob Barnes does all the damage, now let's go to Drew Smith, and he ends up pitching really well. So again, just when we talk about the role that they just don't have a role for him. He really just has an undefined role. He's kind of just like the last guy on the list, and I'm not sure why. Like I'm not sure what it is about Drew Smith that Jeremy Hefner probably liked Jacob Barnes more. Jacob Barnes stayed on this team for a while because Hefner liked him. Hefner liked the stuff. But Drew Smith, I mean, he like Mets fans said, he has good stuff when you look at just the total package.
He's like Killamay from last year at this point. It's just like you just don't know what's going on with him. Like it's just you see him occasionally, and it's like, what is his role here? Like what's
he's
going
used
on?
so little. Sometimes you even forget he's on the team. I mean, sometimes it's like, is he available? Like, do we still have him? Did he get sent down 2009?
He's a cool guy. Like he's awesome. I see.
He does have the flow. He does have
all the
some
time
nice
Twitter,
hair.
yeah.
I mean, you do have to give him a good grade for that. He gets a good hair. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. I bumped it up to a C just because of the hair.
All right, so the next.
Yeah, what's his X hair or X?
Yeah, what's
hair?
the XBA on the hair?
Plus, I don't know. They don't have that on Fangraphs.
Yeah, what is this? What
yeah.
is the horizontal movement when he pitches on the hair? I mean, how much spin rate does the hair get in the wind?
I'm not sure.
Who's in the higher
love for that to be a
percentile? Him,
factor. That'd be
Gazelman, or
awesome.
Syndergaard?
That's a pretty good question.
Syndergaard train.
Syndergaard? Yeah, it depends if he has his hair up or not.
He's got locks of love.
He was doing that in 2019. Didn't
Can
give him very good results.
Can we include Glasnow in this conversation?
No, he's not a Met. This is Mets Weekly. It's not Rays Weekly. It's not Rays Talk with Hayden.
Rays Talk with Hayden.
What about rookie Degrom? We got the rookie Degrom in there.
Degrom did have some excellent hair.
Ever since the cut, though, he's been different.
He looks like a completely different guy. You wouldn't even realize it's the same guy, honestly. He just looks so different. But it has worked out. Let's get
to skinnier without the hair too.
Yes, that is true. He's a skinny guy to begin with. Let's get to Jerry's Familia, who was just recently placed on the IL. He did have some good performances at first. He was exceeding expectations. He's a guy everybody want to get rid of. Salary dump him. Don't care what it is. Just get rid of him. I mean, Sandy said in a spring training game when he was being interviewed, "Oh, Jerry's is killing me." I mean, that showed you just the way that the Mets organization was feeling about Familia going into the year. A Brody signing. Just get rid of him. But Familia gave us a lot of good outings. But lately, leading up to his injury, similar to Gazelman and Shari Foley, he was starting to lose a little bit of that magic touch. So, Andrew, what do you think about Jerry's Familia leading up to the injury?
Again, like you said, I wanted to trade him for a biggie bag. I wanted him off that $10 million could have been spent otherwise. But besides the point, again, kind of like with Gazelman, our expectations were, after watching him last year, 7 ERA, something stupid like that. Him and Betances both were abysmal. He had a sub-2 ERA for a long time before, this weird little stretch. I gave him a B+. Again, expectations going in, didn't think he'd pitch anything. I thought he'd just be, it's a blowout, put in Familia. But, he's got us into some big jams, but he also has gotten out of some big jams. Lately, not so much. But again, I gave him a B+, just more of the expectations going in, and we just wanted to trade him for a bag of chips. So,
I mean,
and then if it's a good bag of chips.
Yeah, it does depend on the flavor. All right, Hayden, what do you think about the way Jerry's Familia pitched? What kind of grade do you think he deserves based off his performances leading up to the IL stint?
Yeah, well, I think prior to that, Familia was also a big surprise. I mean, I was even saying he's been a big surprise. He wasn't quite bringing me 2015 or 2016 flashbacks or anything like that, but he was performing better than how he has in the last couple of years itself. I'd probably give him a solid C-Lub once again. I mean, I know people were asking me, who would you rather have faith in, Betances or Familia? And I said Familia any day. And I've never really, I've always had ambiguous thoughts on Jerry's Familia. So I'd give him a solid C.
All right, Big Apple Baseball Banter, a.k.a. Elias. What have you thought about Familia? What kind of grade did you give him?
Yeah, La Familia, he gets a B+ for me.
Ooh.
I think his numbers are inflated a little bit because of Rojas's idiotness, putting him out for a second inning against the Padres, which was just ridiculously stupid. That obviously doesn't help his ERA and counting stats like that. He has shocked me. Like, the control isn't great, no, but I think that just comes into compromise with his stuff being so nasty. And he's getting the results this year. I would say, I got kind of excited about him last year because like he had this huge weight loss, all this stuff. I'm like, hey, it can't get any worse than he was in 2019. I got excited. Wasn't great last year, but he's been a really big part of this bullpen. So yeah, shout out to Jerry Familia, man.
All right, Mets fan. Now you have been quoted as saying a couple of times, this is the best version of Jerry's Familia that we have seen. So what have you seen that makes you say such a statement?
I say it all the time. Familia would be one of the best relievers in baseball if he didn't walk the entire ballpark. He's got elite stuff. Nasty triple threat, sinker, slider, splitter. I mean, the walks are just a huge problem. And I mean, it sucks that he has to go on the IL because he was pitching pretty good for the most part. And I believe that 40 pitch outing was the injury right there. I believe that's what happened. The hip impingement right there against, and that's why he probably wasn't available for many days. We didn't see him for a while. I mean, we shouldn't have because they gave him 2 innings, and who gives Jerry's Familia 2 innings? But it's his contract year. I don't see a future with him at this team. I mean, he's only 31, but I mean, I don't see him a future with this team going forward. Obviously, he has that contract that Brody gave him. 10 million AAV should not go to a reliever, let alone Familia. For me, it's a B. He's been good. I've believed in his stuff. I don't know if I believed in him, but I believed in his stuff. It sucks he's got to go on the IL. He's another guy that's dealt with a lot of injuries recently, and it's declined. It's declined him, and you could see, and also with the age as well. Reliever consistency is very hard to come by these days. It's been hard for a while. I don't know. B for me with Familia.
Yeah, I also had a B for Jerry's. The next guy, he's really interesting. Aaron Loup, who in his most recent outing went 3 scoreless innings. So I think if we said this maybe a month, 2 months ago, you think Aaron Loup's going to give you 3 scoreless innings? We probably would have said no. So while these other guys like Reed Foley, like Familia, they kind of tailed off a little bit, looks like Aaron Loup is improving. So let's talk with him. What do you think about Loup? There it is.
Yeah, the nice submarine armed wind-up pitcher we acquired in this offseason. He started off the season, I mean, his first couple appearances, he had the walk issue. He struggled a little bit, made me a little upset. So far, he's been very solid, nice up to ERA. He's been definitely one guy who's been a surprise. I'd rank him probably a solid nice B.
Wow, that's a pretty high grade from you. You're a tough grader, so Aaron Loup's got to be doing really good to get that kind of grade. What about you, Big Apple Baseball Banter?
Yeah, Loup, there it is, Aaron Loup, whatever you want to call him. I'm gonna give him an A. And like he started out the year kind of rough. I think his first pitch of the year was a hit by Mr. Bryce Harper.
Yep.
Don't want to talk that game. That game was rough. But he has been getting so much better recently. The dude's personality is also fucking awesome. I mean, he looked like he was honored to get his shit checked by the umps. His quote about being an opener and just throwing a couple of innings and then cracking a beer, watching some baseball.
Which he did do after that 3-inning performance, right on the press conference.
He brought a beer. Exactly.
So, listen, he's a man of his word. Gotta give him a good grade for that.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, what do you think about Loup?
Well, he's one of my A pluses in this bullpen.
Wow.
I gave him an A plus. Yes. Nice. Sub 160 ERA as a lefty. It is hard to find a good lefty reliever in baseball. The Mets, we thought Justin Wilson was Josh Hader and Mariano Rivera with his cutter and his fastball. Loup's come in. Again, that Harper AB still haunted me, and that kind of put a dark cloud on him because I thought that Harper AB still haunts me. But he has shut me down. A 1.59 ERA, gave you elite 3 innings the other day. What more? Again, for a left-handed reliever in this game, to find a good one who doesn't throw 100 miles an hour, he's got the funky delivery. I mean, what more for a free agent sign for 1 year, $3 million? I mean, come on.
Exactly, Mets fan. I mean, are the Mets getting good value on this deal? I mean, how is it looking now with the hindsight?
Andrew, you took it out of my mouth. A+. I mean, when we signed Loop, I thought he would be a solid lefty reliever for us, but he's probably the most underrated reliever in baseball right now. And if you like looking at Savant pages, check out Aaron Loop. The man is just having a reliever of the year type season right now. And I'm not emphasizing that. He's elite right now. He's just at the top of his game.
Wow. I didn't even know that the analytics liked him too. That's really good to see. That means hopefully what he's doing is sustainable. It's not just a hot stretch that he's running in.
Yeah.
All right, what do you want to say,
Andrew,
Liz?
You referenced Justin Wilson. I checked his stats. He's got a 6.08 ERA with the Yankees, which I know the whole chat's gonna be like, "Oh, Elias ERA doesn't mean anything," but I mean,
it doesn't.
He's been dreadful. I mean, it means
nothing.
if you have a 6 ERA, you're doing something wrong. And I'll be right. I have overrated the crap out of Justin Wilson. I was so pissed we wouldn't re-sign him. I think, like you said, having like an actual quality lefty reliever, but Loop has just been so much better.
And I just want to call.
Just wait until we get Jake Diekman next year.
That would be.
He's good too.
Yeah, and I think what about Loop is that he hasn't just been a lefty specialist. I mean, he's done a lot lefty specialist, give you a whole inning, come in with runners on base, give you 3 innings. I mean, he's just done a lot of different things.
I just hope we're not overworking him. You know what I mean? I just hope we're not overworking him. Because he is the only lefty there with Lucchesi out as a possible reliever.
Because you don't trust Tarpley. So, I mean, you don't want to have another Gazelman situation where you overwork the guy and then he loses the effectiveness. So I do like what I've seen from Aaron Loop. Anytime you get a guy that was fixed by Tampa Bay, I mean, you're off to a good start. They unlock something, and I'm sure that Jeremy Hefner, with his mindset, is probably just continuing what worked for Aaron Loop. I feel like that's probably the route that they've been going with him. Okay, so let's go to the next guy, Miguel Castro, who is a guy that he's had very good outings. He's given up some long balls. He did have, against Ron Acuna, gave up the home run, 1-0 loss. So, Hayden, what have you thought about Miguel Castro? What kind of grade do you think he gets? I also gave Lupe A, by the way.
Yeah, I'd say Castro is definitely probably a top-tier reliever on this Mets team. We all know how much our friend Mets fan adores Miguel Castro. Great pickup. I'd say that was probably one of the best last obtainments from the corrupt Wilpon and Brody administration. I mean, when we got him, I didn't really think too much of him. I didn't really think he'd be that great. Believe it or not, when we first got him, I thought he probably wouldn't even spend the next year with us. He proved me wrong, no doubt, this season. My apologies. This season, he's been great. I give him a solid A.
Wow, an A for Miguel Castro. Very nice. What about you, Elias? Are you a Castro guy or, don't like the ERA, analytics, schmanalytics? I mean, what are you thinking?
No, I like Castro, man. I'll give him a B+. I mean, he was so good at the beginning of the year. He's kind of been letting me down recently, but I mean, last year, we picked him up and he was walking everybody, but I knew there was something there. Like, I'm no expert. I'm no, Rob Freeman. But you saw the quality stuff. And people were talking about, possibly getting rid of him. I said, no, hold on this guy, give him a chance. I think there's something there. And, not to toot my own horn, but I've been right. But, he's had a couple rough outings recently, but the stuff is there. He just
about time you're right. Sorry. I thought my mic was muted. I'm sorry.
Man, we're really going there? All right. But, no, back to Miguel Castro, proving me right. And he's been solid. I mean, like I said, a couple rough outings recently. It seems like he's been pitching a bit tighter. I think they mentioned that on the broadcast. He's pretty loosey-goosey when he pitches. I mean, we've talked about every player, how they look. I mean, he's got all the swag, the chains, the sideways hat. That gives him – that bumps him up.
Young Fernando Rodney.
Exactly. That bumps him up at least 2 letter grades. So, yeah, Miguel Castro, I'm going to give him a B+.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Andrew, tell me about the Castro swag. I mean, what do you think? Do you give him an A as well, or is he kind of, I'm not so sure, because he's a little inconsistent.
Damn, I'm going to be the negative guy here for once. I gave Castro a C, and maybe it's just more recency bias. It's just something with him. If this is the beginning of the year, I'm giving him an A. There is no, I don't know what he is. Maybe because he's throwing some more sliders and changeups. I can't, when he comes into the game, beginning of the year, lockdown. I'm just sitting at the edge of my seat like he's gonna walk 2 guys, and then he's gonna strike the next 3 guys out. But it's just, I don't know. It's maybe because he's going so slider happy and he got rid of throwing the changeup more. Again, maybe I'm being recency biased, and you know what? I gotta be negative once in a while. I can't be the positive guy all the time. So I'll give him a C.
Messman, what do you think about Castro's pitch selection? Is he using the sinker enough? Is he too slider happy? I mean, what does Miguel Castro have to do to get that consistency? Because we know he has amazing movement, great velo, good arm slot. So tell us what is happening right now.
Oh, God, it's so weird. I mean, it's so back and forth with this guy sometimes. I mean, I think I expressed this before the season even started. I was expecting Castro to take a step forward, and he has for the most part. But I expected this to happen where he would give up a lot of soft contact, but the only hard contact he would give up would be the long ball. So his struggles are definitely fixable. He's still very young. He's still very expandable. But the breakout is definitely coming for this guy. Like I've said, if it's not this year, it's next year. I believe in Castro a lot. I think once that change up is fully developed, he'll be even more dominant. He's just not fully there yet, but it's there. The potential is definitely there. And I'm pretty sure he's only 26 years old. So, and you still got control years over him. It's a B+ for me right now. But I really do like Castro. I love his set. It's awesome.
Yeah, I gave Castro a B as well because he did have a lot of good outings in the beginning of the season. I think he's another guy where they've really tried to change his role a little bit. Sometimes he comes in and runs on base. They've had him open, try to go multiple innings, and sometimes only go the 1 inning. So he hasn't really had a set defined role either. So I think that's something that they probably have to work on to understand. Obviously Castro has this great stuff, but what is the best opportunities to use him? I feel like that's something that Rojas still has to learn and the Mets still have to figure out. But he is still young, so there is room for improvement. Now we get to Trevor May, who was the big offseason acquisition for the bullpen. We know that the bullpen struggled a lot in 19. It was a little up and down in 2020. So you're like, all right, we need some bullpen help. One of the first things the Mets did was say, okay, let's go get Trevor May, get him for a multi-year deal, reunite him with Jeremy Hefner. So Elias, Big Apple baseball banter, what is your grade for Trevor May?
Yeah, Trevor May's really let me down this year. I'm going to give him a C-, even a D+. Like, he has not been good. He is so unreliable. It's just, you don't know what you're going to get with him. And that's the worst thing about a reliever is like, oh, well, let's hope he has it tonight because there's something there. Like, we wouldn't have signed him to the contract we signed him. He's been a really good player with the Twins in the past, but something's up this year, man. He's really disappointed me. And I know it's a 3.71 ERA isn't terrible, but he's just been so shaky that's like you never know whether he's going to blow it or he's going to, be lights out. So I'm going to give him a C-.
What about you, Andrew? What do you think about Trevor May? How's he doing?
Yeah, if you saw my offseason video at the beginning of the offseason, I did want the Mets to sign Trevor May. Yeah, I thought he could be, just that kind of sixth, seventh inning guy that you can come in. He has Elias said, it's kind of let me down a little bit. His vlogging skills would easily give him an A+. If that was content creating, he could be one of us. But on the field, besides the great interview he had with Gary, Keith, and Ron, I gave him a C. Yes, is there room for him to improve? Yes. Is the home run ball a big thing with him like it was in Minnesota? Yes. The walks are an issue, but again, he still has that hard fastball. He got rid of the curveball. He's only throwing a slider. Again, he's got a decent amount of innings. Again, could he turn around? Of course. But, as of what we've seen, I gave him a C.
Hayden, what do you think about Trevor May? Is he someone that makes you want to, throw a hat, break something when he gives up the homer, or how would you?
Taking a look at Trevor May, he's definitely performed in a much different way. I'll tell you this is the velocity has been up there, but as Andrew, or I forgot who it was, but said, he'll throw a ball right down the middle, boom, home run, hits the cornerstone of the barrel, for the barrel percentage. So it's tough with May. He hasn't really been the pitcher that we expected how he was with the Twins. But I'll say, some stuff like the chase rate is also going in his favor. We know there was concerns about his velocity and the changeup going into this offseason. But overall with May, I'd probably throw him a solid C-.
What do you think, Mets fan? I mean, because the stuff is there. He's another guy that he's throwing it really hard, has good movement, and he does have outings where he is dominating, strikes out the side, but then he has some outings where he gets in trouble, gives up the long ball, lets the team right back into the game. So do you think that he's someone, since this is a multi-year deal, is he someone that we have to worry about? Is he Dylan Betances 2.0, or is he a guy that could bounce back and could really, really ride out the contract and make it a good move all in all?
All right, well, right now I'm looking at a 2.61 Syria right now, so maybe there's not much to look at, not much to worry about as of right now. I mean, going into the season, I think we all saw May as kind of like that, like full, like fill in for Lugo. And now that Lugo's back, I'm not too concerned. Kind of takes a little bit more weight off of him. Maybe that'll help him mentally. May has had success in the past, and he has Jeremy Hefner with him, who is pretty much responsible for the resurgence of his career in his late 20s. He just got to start figuring it out, and it looks like he's starting to a little bit. He's had a few outings that have been pretty good recently. I just hope they're not overusing him, because they do have a lot of options there, even though the options are dwindling with Gazelman and Familia going down. He's a great reliever. He'll be fine. I'm not worried about Trevor May.
What kind of grade would you give him, just based on what you've seen so far?
If we're gonna go results wise, I'm gonna go C+ though, because it's just for the high volume that we kind of rated this move. I'm pretty sure I gave it an A in our offseason grades. I'm pretty sure. Frank, I think you gave it a pretty high grade too, right?
Yeah, I think the thing that's really unfortunate is that when you say, okay, well, now we could redo the offseason, pick any reliever you like, and the contract that they ended up getting, I think Mark Melancon would be pretty high on the board. But problem is, Melancon is closing for the Padres. No closer role available with the Mets. You may have wanted this guy or that guy. Closer role, closer role, closer role. Trevor May was willing to come onto this team knowing that he does not have to be a closer. He hasn't been a closer in his career. So he really was the only guy that you could get that wasn't too old and had, just enough success. And obviously, like you said, the Jeremy Hefner factor you really thought would play into the decision. And my grade is also C+, just because of the home run ball. Whether his analytics are good or not, like I always say, the one thing I cannot stand with a reliever is a home run ball. If you're in a close game and you give up a home run, it could be game over. If you give up a couple walks, you give up a couple base hits, but get out of it, I'm cool with that. But if you give up one home run, then strike out the other guys, it doesn't matter. You gave up the run. So I just think that that really makes it very tough to, again, find a role for this guy. Do you trust Trevor May in a one-run game? I'm really not sure, because like we said, we've seen him have playing guys. His last outing was very, very good. But his next outing, we just don't know. And I think that that's something that come postseason time, I'm really curious to see how they are going to use him. And I do imagine that they will try to figure out, the best way to use him as far as pitching sequence. He does way too much high fastball, high fastball, high fastball. I just would like to see more variety out of Trevor May, because his fastball isn't good enough to where that could be your only pitch. He's having too many long at-bats. They foul it off too much. And like you guys said, he also walks too many batters. That's another thing that you really can't be doing. It makes it a lot tougher on everybody else. But we do know that he can improve, but I have him as a C+. So let's go to the guy who just came back a little while ago, Seth Lugo, or as I and some others may call him, Lou Goat. So, Andrew, as a fellow Puerto Rican, Seth Lugo, the Puerto Rican, what have you thought about him?
Oh, I want to give him a higher grade than Edwin Diaz, but I can't. I gave him an A. Lugo, again, stuff-wise, I still think stuff-wise he is better than Edwin Diaz. That spinny curveball is more important to me than the fastball. Again, that's just me. I don't throw hard, so I like the off-speed more than like the 100 miles an hour. Me. But again, Lugo's doing what Lugo does. When he's rested, he's going to go, hopefully, if it's a Jake start, Jake gives you 7. Seth, finish the game off. Or, you've got Rojas out here using him for 1 out, which just, what are we doing? Again, when he's ready to go, you can get 2 innings out of him. And he will be, if we do get to the postseason, he is probably the X factor. Let's say Carrasco, let's just say he exists and he pitches a playoff game, let's say game 3. And let's say he goes 5. You can bridge 6 and the 7th of Lugo. Maybe you add somebody at the deadline to get it to Diaz. He is the X factor in his bullpen. Diaz might be the best of them all. And, Mets fan will tell you he's the best. again, debating what day of the week it is. You can make that argument, but Lugo is the most important in this bullpen.
Okay, Elias, what have you thought about Seth Lugo, the kind of role they put him in, and just the way Rojas uses him?
Yeah, I'll give him an A. I mean, not much volume, obviously, coming back from that bone, whatever thing in his elbow, which is obviously a pretty scary injury. I love Lugo, though. I got to chat with him for briefly at a AAA game, so
Nice.
a bit of bias there, but a super nice guy. But that's besides the point. Been pitching pretty well as well. The whole one-batter thing was also, to correct you guys, I'm pretty sure Lugo actually wanted to come out. He said he was a bit gassed. So, you hate to hear that, obviously. But, the volume isn't there. But I think Lugo is a beast. That curveball, he's got so much variety. You never know what's going to come because he's got such a variety of pitches coming your way. Lugo, he's going to be huge for us in the playoffs, like you guys said. Being able to pitch multiple innings. Lugo's the man. How can you not love Lugo? He's great, man.
What about you, Hana? Are you loving Lugo? Not loving Lugo? What do you think how he's been in his return? Coming back from Leah said, that's a pretty tough injury. The bone spurs. He did have to have a procedure done. That wasn't something that did just healed and all right, you're back. He did have to have a procedure done.
That of course it's very serious, and I think we look at Lugo. Listen, he's coming back. From a serious injury, loose bones. And I think it's going to come to a point he's going to get in his rhythm. He has a nice arsenal of pitches. I think what makes him much more different than other bullpen pitches is the amount of pitches he has in his arsenal. I know Mets fans like what I'm about to say. You look at any ordinary, relief pitcher, they have 2, maybe 3 pitches. This dude has 5, 6 tops pitches. So that's what makes him so much more deadlier than any other relief pitcher. Yes, you could say because originally he was used for that starting role, but I just think it really helps him out, and that's why I really like any relief pitcher that has more than 2 pitches. Even for a starter like Glasnow, I know it kind of helped him out a little bit. But overall with Lugo, I've been liking what I've been seeing out of him. It's tough because the injury. He has had a couple. If he starts, I have him on my fantasy team, and I was never going to drop him. We all know I had Jordan Yamamoto on my fantasy team when it started, which my bad.
Why would you ever do that?
Because I thought he was going to make the team out of spring training.
It's the same reason you have Salvador Perez on a fantasy team.
It's dingers.
I have the Oakland A, Sean Murphy as my catcher, so it's all
nice.
Good. But back to Seth Lugo, the dude has 5 to 6 pitches. That's what makes him more elite. I give him a solid B+, going ahead into the future, of course.
Well, what do you think, Mets fan? His velocity has not been there yet, but he does still have that, very famous spin rate on the curveball. So what are the analytics saying about how Lugo's looking coming back?
Well, I mean, Lugo, I don't think he's been top-notch velocity ever. He tops out at 96. I saw him throw 98 in one outing. I think it was the Washington game, but I think he just burnt out his arm for a second, and then he came out obviously after that outing. We've only seen a little bit of him, but he's Seth Lugo. We know what this guy can do, and what Hayden was talking about with multiple pitches that he is, and that's the reason why they wanted him to be a starter for a long time, is because of how many pitches he had. But he belongs in that bullpen. That curveball he has is a nuclear weapon. I mean, it's just. Let's just hope that he passes the sticky stuff check and that he's not cheating with the spin rate, and he can just keep hurling those 3,400 RPM curveballs all around the strike zone and fooling everybody like they've never been fooled before. He's Seth Lugo. Give him an A, basically on recency. He's basically DeGrom's right-hand man. I mean, he really has been for a while.
So Seth Lugo, I'm a huge fan of his, but I actually gave him a B+. And the reason why is because I do have high expectations for Seth. I do expect him to be a multi-inning guy. And what I've seen with him coming back is that he has a good inning and a bad inning. His first inning will be fine, gives up no runs. Then that second inning work, he gives up a couple runs. So I still don't think he's exactly where he could be. I do think that Lugo is capable of being even better. Even though he's been good, I do think that Lugo is capable of more. He still has to work his way back. You saw that his very first outing against Arizona, First ain't good. Second, it gives up a run. So I'm going to leave it at a B+ for Lugo because I just feel like he's capable of more. If I didn't have such high expectation for him, I would put him in the A's. But I just know how good Lugo is. I saw what he did in 19, and I just think that and 20 also when he was a reliever. He's just a very good pitcher. So I'm going to give him a B+. And last, but definitely not least, the closer, the trumpet man, whatever you want to call him, Edwin Asuka Sugar Diaz. So, Elias, what have you thought about Mr. Trumpets?
Yeah, so everyone thinks I hate Diaz or I think he sucks because he had a bad 2019, which, for being honest, he did. Or what is XBD, SCD, whatever. Diaz is freaking awesome, man. Diaz is, I mean, first of all, the Trumpets thing, the stadium just gets fired the fuck up. It's awesome. Diaz he's a guaranteed save this year. He's been a guaranteed save this year, man. He's been phenomenal. He's a top 5 reliever. Now, I don't think the greatest reliever ever. That's a guy from the Yankees a while back still exists. But exactly, getting there. Recently, he's been pretty much a guaranteed save. There's been games that I've missed because I've been busy or whatnot, and I always make sure if we're winning to throw that 9th inning on because the stadium's absolutely electric. Every strike thrown is just huge eruption in the crowd. Diaz is freaking awesome. I'm giving him an A+. I love Diaz. Let's clear that up. I have nothing against Diaz.
Wow. All right. So he has squashed the beef with Edwin Diaz. What about you, Hayden? Do you feel comfortable with Edwin Diaz? Do you feel like when he comes in, nothing is going to be broken? No rage? I mean, how are you feeling when Diaz comes in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure most of you guys remember my reaction. I know Elias has it saved on his phone or the device when Edwin Diaz gave up that wall scraper. And with Edwin Diaz, he's really coming back from that 2019 slump. So far this season, he's been putting up good numbers. He's been going into the 9th inning. He's even going into the 8th inning, getting the 5-out saves. His fastball is probably his fastball velocity is awesome, over 100 miles per hour. Chase rate, strikeouts. He's getting better with the walks. It's one thing that was an issue with him in 2019 that we wanted to get away from. But overall with Diaz, I have been very, very fond of his performance this season. And people say, oh, well, when will the Diaz trade fully be worth it? When Diaz throws strike 3 or gets the final out to win the World Series. We're going to go that. Diaz, I'd give him a nice A. Just flat A.
What about you, Andrew? You've been a kind grader. What kind of grade is Edwin Diaz getting? Is he the best reliever on the team?
Well, if you kept track, I did say there was 2 A+ in this grade, and since Seth got an A, that means Mr. Trumpet Boy gets the A+. Again, I've never felt more confidence since probably Billy Wagner. That 9th inning comes in, hands go up, ball game's over. And I never thought after watching that 2019 season, I thought I'd be able to say that about Edwin Diaz. But 2020, maybe he fixed something, and he's continued into 2021. You can't use the excuse, oh, it was empty stadiums. Well, they're going crazy when he comes into the game, and they're making a ton of noise. So you can't make that excuse. Oh, he can't pitch in front of a crowd. He's doing it again. 16 saves, and he's a completely different player when he's not in a safe situation. But we're not going to talk about when he's not in a safe situation. So I don't like that he's going multiple 5 outs. I don't like that per se. But again, you had the day off today, so you could do it if you wanted it. I'm hoping this isn't an everyday occurrence or once a week. I don't want that. Keep him to the 9th inning. If you need a 4th out, fine. But I don't want these 5-6 out saves. Keep him to the 9th inning. But again, Edwin gets the A+.
All right, so we got to everybody now. I'm going to skip around for the topics a little bit, and I think that we should go to Mets fan. How do you feel about Edwin Diaz?
Oh, it's fun being right. I mean, it's just I don't know what to say anymore. He's elite. I mean, what do I say? He's one of the best relievers in baseball, and I think everyone is starting to see that. If you don't see that yet, you can keep lying to yourself. That's your prerogative. But given what happened in 2019, to sum it up, he was good. He was not good. He needed blame, and he didn't need blame. Confused, good. But whatever, you think he was good or not, I think we can all agree that this is the Edwin Diaz that we traded for. And this is the Edwin Diaz that I have defended for multiple years. Just sit back and enjoy the trumpets because he's dominating right now. This is the prime of Edwin Diaz right now. It's awesome.
All right, so we are running a little short on time, so I am going to skip a few questions that we had. We can save it for another Mets Weekly. So the one that I do want to talk about is Andrew made a video saying, you know what, the Mets offense has been struggling. They really should call up Brett Beatty. So the Mets do have to make a move probably within the organization if they do want to get some more offense, particularly at third base, because the one guy who we really don't know when he's going to be back is J.D. Davis. So the question that I really have is that should the Mets call up Brett Beatty? Should they call up Mark Vientos? I mean, what route should they go? Let's go to Hayden.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the farm system is very important. I mean, looking at Brett Beatty, he's a great prospect. He has that nice raw power, could hit opposite field, could hit down the middle. I could easily see him being a 25, 30, maybe even a little bit more of a home run guy. He has great pitch recognition skills at the plate. Not, maybe to an extent like Nemo if he keeps going at it. In terms of third base, it's very tough. It's likely Mauricio's going to be a third baseman due to his size. Vientos is definitely one person who is probably ranked below her. Brett Beatty in terms of popularity, but I would say is likely going to be called up first is Vientos, but I think Beatty would obviously take that role once he gets called up. Do I think he's ready? Probably not. We've been seeing so many guys get called up in the MLB. So Juan Franco, who really put on a show. I was at the Marlins. I was in a Marlins game, and I was streaming some of that on my phone. I was in disbelief. And then we had some guys like Jared Kelenic who were called up too early and really made a slump. So, especially with a guy like Beatty, who's young, you want to call him up and know that you're not going to send him down like a Karanich situation. Overall, should we call him up? No, I'd give him much more time. He's in what? He's in Brooklyn. So I give him a bit more time, maybe let him, go to Syracuse a bit, get something out there. I'd give him more time. But overall, I like what he's doing for us. And I think in a year, 2 years, top 3, he could definitely be a nice long third baseman for this team.
All right, Aaliyah, should the Mets call somebody up? Should they stay put? What should they do right now as far as Beatty, Vientos, or any other minor leaguer?
Okay, so with Beatty, at first when I saw Andrew's video, it got me fired up because I was so pissed off about how Pittsburgh offense looked that night. I got the same vibe from Andrew, just ranting about it. And also Andrew shouted me out, so shout out to you for that, man. But I was just I'm like, yeah, let's Beatty, hell yeah. And the more I thought about it, it's like, I wouldn't, because it's a bit of a rush. He's definitely an older player considering he was drafted out of high school. I think he's already 21 years old. Is he ready? Maybe, but you got to think about this too. Prospects aren't necessarily, they're not like getting a player at the trade deadline. They're hyped. Their projection is to be very good, but they're still a prospect. There's a shot he could be bad. There's a shot his confidence completely gets shot. I don't know if he's ready yet. Now, with Vientos, he's a bit older, and I don't project Vientos to be a long-term starter as much as I project Beatty to be a long-term starter. Do I hate Vientos? No, I'm not saying that. I don't think he's going to be as good as Beatty is. There's a reason Beatty's the higher-ranked prospect. So if JD takes forever, which also, even when he comes back, I'm over that guy playing third base, if we're being honest. I don't need to see tap dancing back there every time he fields a ground ball. The rare occasion he does field the ground ball, if we're being honest. So, if VR's injury requires him to go on the IL, I would consider calling up Vientos. He's really hot right now. Hit a homer today, I believe. So with Beatty, I would wait a little bit. Mauricio, obviously, he's way away. He's a project guy. He's super young. Himself, he projects to be, in my opinion, to be more of a third base just with that length. And also we have the shortstop locked up for a while, which I saw one of the topics I guess we can get to in a little bit about, the Mets in a couple of years, how that's going to look. That's a really interesting topic. But I think Vientos I would consider calling up right now. Beatty, I would wait a little bit.
Okay, so Andrew, you're the one that made the video. You were very fired up at the time. After a couple days, the Mets offense woke up the following day. So how are you feeling? Do you still feel as adamant that they should, Bay's got to get up here, Michael Conforto 2.0, get the offense going again? Or do you think that the Mets could go in another avenue?
I'm taking full advantage of why the offense woke up with my video. Just besides the point.
All right, Andrew,
besides the
Mets.
No, 100%.
Besides the point. Mark Vientos is the same age as Brett Beatty. They're both 21 years old. So there is no age there. They are both 21. Yes,
but who has more experience in the minor leagues?
Exactly.
I'm going to get to, yeah. Well, go before I'll let Hayden go.
I was going to say, but Beatty was held back in 5th grade, though.
Well, that's I mean, oh my gosh. We don't want to dump
So that's why he came out so old. So he's a freaking idiot. He's probably going to be like Alonso, just making a bunch of mental errors when it comes to fielding, like that play against the Diamondbacks. He's done. Beatty's done. Career over.
Oh, Lord.
It's over. What a loser.
Yeah, he got held back.
We're saying it.
That's great.
Oh, man, you're killing my guy here. So, back to what I was saying. What the video came out. Yes. Is Vientos in AA? And what's it called? Yes. Did everybody lose the year of 2020? Yes. But, again, he was at the alternate site, whatever, in Brooklyn, working out, still playing. Yes, it wasn't official minor league games, but he was around the team. What I was inferring to as why I made the video, not only to rant a little bit about the offense, is everyone wants to go upgrade third base. Everyone wants Bryant, or everybody wants, maybe trade for a shortstop to move him to third base. Maybe I'll talk about it if we're going to talk about it tonight. My saying was, I'm tired of seeing our top prospects, Pete Alonso coming up at 24, McNeil coming up at 26. You see the game. The game's stars are young. 20, 19-year-old stars are coming up. This kid's bat is ready to go. He's hit everywhere he's been. This year, like you say, Vientos is having a good month. They're both having a good month. All 5 of Beatty's home runs have come in June. Overall in Brooklyn, 38 games played, 316 average, 948 OPS, 17 extra base hits, 31 RBIs. It's the biggest thing is, the service time. Steve Cohen's here. So that question of a contract, saving the extra year, throw it out the window. That with Cohen here, this isn't a Wilpon thing where you want to clutch as long as you can have this guy. That idea is gone. I firmly believe his swing is ready to go. If you've seen you saw highlights in the video, beautiful. He's got a gorgeous Joey Gallo, Freddie Freeman combination of a swing. And yes, he hits the ball the other way. That's one thing with prospects you can't really teach, or you have to teach them at the major level to go the other way. He hits the other way with power, and he hits the ball and drives the ball. So yes, could you go out and trade for Eduardo Escobar or Chris Bryant or somebody, Kyle Seager, or you save the money and just take a chance? Look at 2015. Conforto, you could have said Conforto wasn't ready. He only played 2 weeks in AA before he got called up. So everyone's like, he hasn't played in AA. Conforto played 2 weeks and then got called up. When you see Juan Soto played exactly, Juan Soto didn't even play in AAA when he got called up. He killed it in Single A and then went to Harrisburg for 2 weeks, and they said, yeah, this guy's tearing up AA. He needs to get up here, skips AAA, and look at Juan Soto. I'm not saying, like I said in my video, I am not saying Brett Beatty's going to be Juan Soto. What I am saying is this is a move you can make, not give up any prospects, not give up anything, save money that you can, if you want to still use the luxury taxes, that's the benchmark. You still have money to go get a starter, go get another reliever, and you could potentially bring an impact bat into this lineup. The only problem is he's left-handed. And we all know Louis with the lineups and the balance of lefty-righty. That is the only thing I firmly believe that is calling him be an X factor. So, yes, if you're asking me after last night, was I hot the night before and just said, you know what, I want to talk about Beatty, make the video? Yes. But do I firmly believe you should see him this year? I'll stick my head out that he should be up here right now.
All right. Mets fan, you've talked about Beatty a lot, Vientos a lot. So, do you still feel that way? Which way do you lean as far as it comes down to these two guys?
I think currently, right now, if I were going to make a one at this very second at 9:07 p.m. Eastern time, it would be Mark Vientos. And I'm going to tell you why. Only because he's played above A ball. And it seems like he's the type of guy we need right now to create some offense. Brett Beatty, I do think that he's kind of a guy that can benefit with the universal DH next year. That's just me, because his glove might not be major league ready. Just let him develop just a little bit more. Let that bat, just let that bat get to elite status as it already has been so far. And let's just try some of these other guys out before we fully commit to our big first-round draft pick. Beatty, I wanted him to be a September call-up this year because I wanted him to be that DH. But since there is no DH this year, I'm kind of weighing against it. But at the end of the day, I'll take anyone over Brandon fucking Drury. So just please get a young guy up here. We have our vets on the bench once our team is fully healthy. Just get somebody with major league experience. Like Andrew said, we have like guys who are 21, 23 in the majors who are literally in line for max deals right now, like Ronald Acuna Jr. Tatis already got one. Soto has just been killing it. I mean, why not? I mean, sure, maybe the talent level is a little bit lower for us since our farm system is taking a dip, but you just got to give somebody time. And since they got rid of Jake Hager and they got rid of, and Fargus is going to be out, I mean, just give somebody a chance. There's no real reason why Brandon Drury should be on this roster, especially with people healthy. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. And Beatty and Vientos, the thing that I like about them that they both have in common is just the fact that they do look, more advanced than their age. And we saw that in spring training. They don't look like rookies. The way that they take pitches, like you said, Andrew, the way Brett Baty goes to opposite field, these guys look pretty developed. And also, like you said, Andrew, you can't teach that. I mean, you either could go to opposite field, you can either take pitches and take walks, or you don't. It's not something that you learn. So the fact that they have it already, that is good. I think the other thing that's really important as well is the position that they play. There is play time available at third base. If they were a shortstop, if they were a corner outfielder, if they were a first baseman, maybe even a catcher, there isn't really too much playing time there. Francisco Alvarez, eventually he'll be here, no doubt about it. We all agree on that. But I think that we've heard so much about, do we need a third baseman? All the guys that Mets had looked at, they were all third basemen. So like we said, since you're looking there anyway, I mean, why get rid of Beatty for Chris Bryant? If you could just keep Brett Baty, he's perfectly serviceable. And the way you look at it is you don't know until you try. If they don't, if they're bad, you send it back down. And then you do go after a veteran third baseman for the time being as a placeholder. Like the way the Mariners did with Kelenic. Like, you know what? This kid, obviously, huge prospect. Let's give him a try. It didn't work out. All right, we'll get to him later. No big deal. We'll just come back around. So the Mets could go down that same exact avenue. And again, just see if you could get a spark, because even though they had that one big game yesterday, before that, the offense looked lifeless. I mean, Michael Conforto, we know he has talent. We're going to get to him next. But does Michael Conforto have that much ability where you just put him in, all of a sudden the offense is going to be great again? I'm not necessarily so sure, because they have gotten shut out a lot recently.
It's not clutch.
That does concern you. So I think that calling up one of them, whoever it is, I personally think Vientos, because it is Double-A. What I will say is that Beatty needs to go to Double-A ASAP. If he shows that he's still doing the same exact thing and is still raking, then him getting to the majors is much more realistic. But if he shows that he's ready for the next level of competition, that needs to happen. So I would say Beatty to Double-A, Vientos to MLB. Let's see what happens. And then just go from there.
Give it a few more weeks in Brooklyn, because I want to see him live when he plays the Renegades when he comes to town. And then he can go to Double-A. Right after that game.
I'm the same way. I'm the same thing with Bobby Witt. Like, can the Royals not call up Bobby Witt right now? Just another week, then you can get him up there.
I'll make sure to tell them, so this way they don't do anything crazy. Did you have something you want to say, Elias? Robot? No, you got some. No, you got a lot of robot action. Shut up.
Oh, damn, he's been abducted by aliens. I think he's very sick.
Okay, so.
Yeah, he must be really sick.
So that give me
concern.
That's a great
me, right?
Put your back. All right. Anyways, the next thing I want to get to is that Puerto Rican boy all night has been asking about Michael Conforto. Should the Mets re-sign him? He just came back. So what do we think? Let's start with Hayden. Should Michael Conforto be re-signed at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's kind of tough. Like we said, we haven't really seen him play more than a month right now. Starting off the season, he didn't really start off too great. Defensively, he's been fine. He has a great cannon of an arm. There's no doubt about that. If we could see that 2019 to 2020 version of him, I would say extend him right now. I'd pay for the money myself. Overall with Conforto, I like what this guy's got. He's one of the few homegrown guys. He's one of the oldest guys on this team that we've had, 2015 with the World Series. I love the dude. He's definitely one of my top top 3 favorite players. And yeah, I don't, it's difficult because the dude had one good start and everyone's saying, oh my goodness, he's back. You got to wait, see how he plays against this Phillies series. I believe after that is a one game. And then, you got the Brewers, the Pirates, see how he gets acclimated back, see if he could keep hitting opposite field, going up the middle, if he could use his nice, gorgeous bat swing in an actual time and be productive. But overall, to answer the question, I can't really. I mean, it's kind of tough to say should we extend him right now. Like we said, he is a Scott Boras client, who typically Scott Boras likes his clients to go to free agency, Strasburg. And, and honestly, I think realistically, if you were asking what's happened, I think Conforto's he's going to go to the market. I think he'll go for like a week. There's going to be talks between some teams. It's going to be minimal, and he'll just go back to the Mets a week into the offseason.
The other part of the question is, let's just say that the Mets were not able to re-sign him, that Boras is able to get him a crazy contract. What team do you think that if Conforto were to leave would snatch him from the Mets?
I mean,
Division rival.
that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
I don't know what team is in desperate need for a right fielder right now. And it's tough. I mean, you're going into a big off season with a lot of stuff going on. We know with the dead ball, that's been a possibility with the pine tar.
CBA.
CBA is going to be another name.
And in the behind, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I don't think he's going to go to the Yankees. I don't really see him. I mean, in terms of Phillies, no. In terms of Nationals, no. I really couldn't tell you.
I could say Nationals. Okay, what do you think, Andrew? Resign Conforto?
Hold up. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
you're good.
Much better.
Much
Yeah, because my AirPods died and I had to switch to some shitty headphones, and clearly I got to replay it because the chat was going crazy. Call me Big Robot Baseball Banner.
Exactly.
It sounded just like robot. You'll hear it back. It was literally a full-on robot. If you could actually do that planned, it would be kind of funny. But anyways, Andrew, do we resign Conforto once the year has concluded? And if we can get him, where do you think he would go if it was not the Mets?
I think the Braves is the easy answer that we don't want at the Braves. They could just move Acuna to left or put Conforto in left. They're going to have Pache or probably. Well,
I mean, they still have Ozuna under contract for a few more years, depending on how the whole legal situation works out. But he still is under contract.
I have him wearing orange pretty soon, but besides the point.
Not orange, just straight orange.
He's straight orange. He's just straight orange.
Right.
With Conforto, he needs to be. He's the captain. I know everyone's going to call Lindor the captain, and everybody's going to call Pete Alonso. The guy that's been here, who has been through it all, is the captain. That's Michael Conforto. I said it the first time I was on Mets Weekly. I will continue to say he is the guy. He don't say anything. He's not doing the dumb videos with Donnie Stevenson. He doesn't have the crazy hair. All he does is put up numbers on the field. That's all he cares. He's a leader by example. He doesn't need the media yelling about him. He doesn't need the $1 million, $300 million. Well, he's hopefully going to get the well, he wants the $300 million contract, but meaning he doesn't need all those extra eyeballs on him. Everyone talks about Alonso, everybody talks about McNeil, everybody talks about Lindor. Conforto has always gone under the radar. This has been his team. Obviously Jake, counting the pitchers are pitchers. This has been his team since Cespedes left, and nobody seems to love him. Everyone as soon as he what's it called left? Oh, here's Pete Alonso, and now here's Lindor. He's been the captain since day one. He's been here. Well, not day one, but he's been here through the run. He needs to be a Met for life.
Exactly. Longest tenured position player. I mean, other than Degrom and Familia, and I mean, I guess you can make the case for Alfredo Tovar. I mean, Michael Conforto is the guy who's been here the longest. Yeah, I mean, Noah as well. But I think Noah and Conforto caught up at a really similar time. I think was Conforto first?
No,
Noah might have been first, actually.
Noah might have been first.
Noah was first. He came from
position,
July.
As far as position players, I mean, Conforto would be the guy. And the Mets went out of the way last year in 2020 saying that he was the captain. So, I mean, that's the way that they view him. I think even Lindor might have said at one point. I'm not sure, though.
He's a team representative, too, yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right, Liz, what do you think about Michael Conforto? How are you feeling about him?
Yeah, I love Conforto. I really hope we can get a deal done for him. He's a top 10 right fielder in baseball. I'm not going to name another team he would go to because I don't want to put that image in my head of Michael Conforto playing in another uniform, especially a division rival. I'm confident they're going to be able to. They're not going to negotiate a contract now. That's part of it is the Boras thing. Also, athletes do not want to worry about their money during the season, especially a guy coming off an injury. He needs to play the best he can play to maximize his value. He's focused on playing well, not getting paid. He'll get paid in the offseason. So, hopefully he's only on the market, like Hayden said, for a week, because that would take all the suspense away in a very good way. But yeah, he'll hit free agency, and I'm pretty confident he'll be a Met. I mean, he's an Alderson guy through and through.
Yes, that's another thing in his favor. All right, Mets fan, you've called him Clutch Conforto, the greatest player that we've ever seen. Who needs Babe Ruth? You have Conforto. So obviously, we know that you think the Mets should re-sign him. But the question I'm going to ask, do you think the Mets will re-sign him? And if somehow they weren't, where would he go?
Yes, they're definitely going to re-sign him, and they definitely should. I think he's worth $200 million. I definitely believe that.
Over 6 years or 7 years, or what kind of years would you be looking at? 8 years? Okay, that's quite a while, but it would help the AAV, which, we're probably not going to get to everything today, but if you look at 5 years from now, a lot of contracts coming up. So, if you could get the lower AAV, it might be worth it for this team. It
depends on your standpoint with this other player I'm going to mention, but he has been playing up to the pace as Bryce Harper. He has been. Analytically, it's so hard because there's a lot of reasons why Conforto would stay, and there's a lot of reasons why he would go. He's the team representative. He was drafted by Sandy. He knows a lot of these guys. He's a silent guy. You really don't know what he's doing in that back quarter. I don't say that as a bad thing, as like the weird emo kid with the lighter in the corner of the classroom, but like he's an interesting personality. He doesn't really have that big personality out of a lot of these guys on the team. I think they should have paid him this offseason. That's just me. I think he's deserved it. He's had plenty of all-star caliber seasons to deserve $200 million. And it is hard to like with my claim that the start of the year that he did struggle a little bit. He did not look good at the plate at all. We can't lie. He was just not hitting. And everybody was coming for his head. But I think, I've done my statistical analysis on Conforto all the time. We always talk about put the bat on the ball, take the bat off your shoulder. When he does, it goes right into somebody's glove or something. Like he's BABIP like crazy. And that's the same thing that goes on with Harper a lot too. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But I think he's a guy that I want to keep. I think he's a cornerstone to this franchise. I think he's just as valuable as Lindor to this lineup specifically. And he's a big part of it, and he's been a big part of this team for a while.
All right, so for Michael Conforto, I think the Mets will and should re-sign him, and the reason why they should is, like you said, Sandy guy, team captain, all that stuff. But also, if, let's say, Conforto were to walk, what is your alternative? The whole reason why Michael Conforto could get a big payday in the offseason is because the corner outfield market is not very good right now. So if Conforto were to go elsewhere, then you're looking at all those not so great options. So I think that you do want to keep your guy in Michael Conforto. And the thing that I always go back to with him, 2015, the 2 home runs in a World Series game. If you could perform for me in the World Series, I want you on my team, despite what I say about Michael. As a rookie, so I think that he definitely is a guy that could help out this team, no question about it. So they should have re-signed him. If they weren't, the one team that I could kind of see him, he fits their mold, is the St. Louis Cardinals. Just because he is under the radar, he doesn't talk a lot, and Dylan Carlson.
That's a crowded outfield.
Yeah, that's the only problem. Carlson's balling.
But coming into the year, they weren't crazy about Bader. They didn't have high expectations for Bader coming in. He was kind of on the trade block. And then Lance Thomas came out of nowhere. So, we'll see how sustainable it is and if Dylan Carlson actually is the next big thing. If not, and you have DH, all this other kind of stuff, I don't know. Are Michael Conforto could fill in because the St. Louis Cardinals bench is not very strong. The Cubs, that's another one. The White Sox are no. I don't know how much money they'll spend though. They already have a lot of money spent. I don't know how much more they would go. But I think maybe the Cardinals had one more big contract. But again, I think that's unrealistic. He's probably staying with the Mets. So we are running pretty late. The last thing I want to get to is let's just really quick talk about the Philly series. How do we think this Philly series is going to go? We're just going to go around the table and just say how do they do? Is it a split? 3 out of 4, 1 out of 4? Do the Mets get swept? So we'll just go around the horn. Andrew, how will the Mets do in the Philly series?
3 out of 4.
3 out of 4. Okay, Hayden.
2 out of 2. 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4.
Okay, Elias.
Sweep.
Wow, sweep. Which sweep? Mets get swept, or they sweep the Phillies?
Mets are sweeping. Their shitty bullpen and our offense is back.
Yeah, the Phillies had a really rough game yesterday. They gave up so many runs out of the pen. A football score, really, between them and Washington.
Pretty much.
All right, Mets fan, are the Phillies frauds, or are they for real?
Fuck Philly. Sweep. Get out of here. I have no confidence in them. I'm not intimidated by them at all. And everybody gets so offended when I say they're frauds because they are. I mean, this is what they do on the field. They crap themselves. That's what they do all the time.
They do with Gene Segura.
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That they do. Met killer. Okay. For me, I'm going to
say
the
left side of the infield with Didi and Bohm, and then we're chilling.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to say split. And the main reason why is because Sunday's pitching problems are Wheeler against Jared Eichoff.
Yeah, it's the one.
I don't see that going too well.
Yeah.
So no matter what,
okay,
I think
3
that's
out of 4. I take it back. 3 or 4.
Okay, yeah.
Nah.
Wait, but this game is at home.
Nope.
It is at home, which does help out the Mets. They are better at home than the road. They don't have to play,
And Wheeler-
And Philly hasn't announced their starters for the doubleheader. The Mets have, but the Phillies have not.
Yeah, so I mean that's another thing.
Well,
If they have to use their bullpen a lot, I think I saw Spencer Howard is going to start though. That is the
Good.
problem.
He's trash.
Yeah, and I think he might be facing David Peterson. So there's a lot of good matchups here. I mean,
Well, he's trash too. Never mind.
You have Nola versus Walker. I mean, so it's going to be, and you have Degrom pitching one of those games. So
Against Eflin, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be a
Easy,
really good
though,
series. So I will say split. But thank you for tuning in. One more time, we will introduce the channels, and then we will be out of here and back next Thursday on another person's channel. So we will kick it off with Andrew.
Yeah, guys. Like I said, like we mentioned earlier, I did a rants, but also a Brett Beatty video. I hope you guys come check it out. Again, more Mets content, more trade deadline option videos will probably be coming out pretty soon. As always, I love hanging out with you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Okay, let's talk with Hayden.
What's going on, everyone? Pretty basic in the name. Mets Talk with Hayden. Please feel free to check me out. Pretty basic Mets live streams, Mets updates channel, all that great stuff. Definitely have the best rages. I'm sure that'll be a nice video during the offseason. Some of all my rages. I did upload a video today in terms of Joey Lucchese and Tommy John, so please check that out, as well as the channel, LFBM.
All right, Big Apple baseball banter.
Yeah, so apologies again for not showing my face. I'm stuck in bed sick. So usually you'll actually see my face, but the channel's Big Apple baseball banter at 6 p.m. Love hearing you guys' takes. Love hearing you guys' thoughts of the New York Mets. Let's go Mets. Appreciate you guys having me on.
It's every Wednesday. Elias cut out, so his show is every Wednesday. He takes call-ins.
Yeah,
so
every Wednesday.
Sure to check him out. Yeah, it only cut out. That's why I'm reiterating it. Okay, and Mets fan.
All right. Well, I'm Mets fan. I'm the stat guy out of everybody. I look at every single number known to man. I've been streaming a lot recently with some power rankings that I've been doing with another stat nerd known as Hayward Stan. Shout out to him. Recently dropped a video about Brandon Nemo, about him just being a god. And I'm glad to have Mets Weekly back. I'm glad we got 2.5 hours in, so we could maybe make up for a little bit of time, but it was fun. Well, and hopefully we can go back next week and talk some more. So
we still had a ton of questions to get to. So we still got a lot of good stuff coming for you guys. And then we have Andrew going out with some propaganda. So give you something to look forward to for next week. You know, we have the P. Alonso versus Tom Smith argument. We have trade deadline targets we want to get to. We have what's the team look like in 5 years. So we have a lot of good stuff planned for you guys. Appreciate you checking in. As always, thank you everyone for coming on. Everyone's links are in the description. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.